The right to offend is not some pesky little part of freedom of speech that we have to put up with. It is the heart and soul and lungs of freedom of speech. It is the coursing lifeblood of human progress. It is the instigator of liberty and modernity and science and understanding. What a laughing stock today's student leaders are, that they can so casually dismiss the right to be offensive without realizing that their lovely, enlightened lives are the gift of individuals who gave offense. Offensiveness is not just something we have to begrudgingly accept. Offensiveness is the motor of human progress.
Now broadcasting from the Right to Offend Media Studios in sunny South Florida, bringing you the latest in politics, current events, art, and pop culture. This is the Whitfield Report Live with Sam Whitfield.
But giving offense is good. In fact, it's essential.
Yo, welcome to the show, everyone. And thanks to Maxine for the intro voiceover for our new voiceover. And yeah, pretty great. So welcome to the show, folks. Speaking of Maxine, she'll be filling in for Morpheus this week, who is attending to some personal matters. But we're happy to have her here, and actually this is her second time on the show. So
I heard Morpheus is single-handedly resurrecting Gamergate, and that's why he's going to be away for the week.
Yeah, I mean, I can't give too many details, but yeah, he's on an epic quest of sorts.
Yeah, he's gathering all the Mort rants into one place to coalesce the energy to manifest Gamergate 2.
Well,
and so we wish him the best, and all of our thoughts and prayers are with him in this wonderful mission.
He's also like gathering up all the ridiculous tweets from the Krasensteins in the past, so that he can just do like a super Saiyan, like mega energy, fuck you, Krasensteins.
He's collecting tweets like Dragon Balls.
So
he's gonna summon the Twitter Shenron and wish for a sick burn. Anyway, my wife's gonna take his seat for not his seat, because that goes with him.
Yeah. I would certainly hope not, but anyway.
Or maybe we just mugged him and took his wheelchair. You'll never know.
Hi, Mort.
Well, I mean,
Oh, he's in the chat, so you might know. Obviously, Never mind.
Anything could happen. And he's in the chat. So
great. I get no fucking.
But,
no, I was gonna say there's somebody else here. Sam.
Anyway,
host.
And we also have Shmuley here.
Oh, fantastic! Great to be on the show, Sam. Great to be on the show. Hope it's a great one. And unfortunately, haven't been able to make these as frequently as I used to. But excited.
Yeah, it's not like he's not been here for a long time, and you totally forgot to even mention him.
Well, it's not like Shmuley's like out there trying to conquer the world or anything. So anyway, though, I suppose we should start off the show by covering some of the news that like everyone wants us to talk about, but like I don't really. Long story short, I guess the Tennessee Shooters Manifesto finally got released earlier this week, and
Tennessee shooting. There's been a Tennessee shooting.
Yeah, like almost 2 years ago or something. It's a transtastic read, Sam.
Oh, that one. Okay. Yes. The one that they wouldn't release, but because it would be a little inconvenient because they shot a bunch of little Christian kids.
Exactly like chat said there. Roman said it's a tranny festo. We called it that about a year ago when I said it's probably not coming out. They've redacted. Basically, the dude was writing journals, and there was like 90 of them, and they released, and then there was like 50 more that they didn't. So it's a bit more than a manifesto. It's almost the diary or diaries of a mad woman, trans. Wait, what is a madman, right? I don't know.
Yeah. It is a diary of a madman. I'm not.
Without the hormone change, do you think that she would have done it?
That's like a fair question.
A mentally ill woman with normal amounts of testosterone for a woman, is there something kind of about testosterone that allows the schizo mentally ill?
Okay, so it was a male to female, to be clear about this person's situation, because it does change things like which hormones are they getting, right? Presumably estrogen. The manifesto itself, a lot of it is like, it's literally a teenager's diary. So it's like handwritten, drawn, band logos, I heart so-and-so. And then in between that, it turns into a lot of talk about like, I'm born in the wrong body. God is mean because of it. And that leads to their thinking that they should commit this atrocious shooting at an elementary school. Over time, long term, this thinking sneaks into the journal and then takes it over. If you read it, this person's thinking at like, there was a clear time, and it might have been the time they got on hormones. That's why that's such an interesting question, right? Where this teenage boy, raised as, at least, thinking clearly shifted to an obsession about him being in the wrong body. Specifically, he says that hundreds and hundreds of times throughout this journal.
Looking back into it again, it was a female to male transition.
Was it?
Yes.
Okay.
That talk about the Nashville, Tennessee shooting and that. Correct?
Right.
I'm making sure we talk about. Yeah.
Yeah.
That certainly does change the talk of hormones. Like I said, that is relevant, but as far as you could see the thinking change, I don't even think it would matter. Like this pattern of speech and obsession, and it's the same kind of thing. Like, interestingly enough, like a serial killer that would have a journal would have that similar kind of obsession with their, like, almost like a fetish. But since it's like either illegal or taboo, it's a fetish that's outside the norm so much they keep to themselves or write these journals like this. I mean, the journal was just him convincing themselves that this crime was justified. And it's a monologue of them convincing themselves as well. So it's like there's no counterpoint to it at all. As they keep saying, God was mean by making me this way, therefore everybody needs to suffer.
Well, see, and this is kind of a morbid thought, but when it happened, right, I saw what the suspect was wearing, and instantly I thought, Columbine copycat. Just from
there is lots of reference to Columbine and the Virginia Tech shooting, and other things. I actually say, like, I kind of took an unpopular stance on this in Gilded earlier, and I still do. That the trans ideology is kind of not as important to the story as a lot of people would like to think. Because if you read through this and then you listen to, or you read the transcript of the basement tapes from Columbine or Sun Hui Cho's videos, if you can get your hands on all of these manifestos, they have wildly different ideologies and justifications for why they do it. But this one sounded exactly like all of them, because I think it has more to do with insert extreme ideology plus these other factors. Mental health seems to be a huge one, and clearly this person struggled with mental health. By their own definition, trans people suffer with mental health, so that's not me insinuating anything.
Yeah, I think that it's kind of almost self-evident, right? Like, I can find you tons of extreme people on any sort of spectrum you want to go down whom otherwise don't commit violence because they don't have like the other prerequisites, right?
Right. But then in every case, you'll find that example of them taking the ideology to such an extreme that it justifies violence in and of itself, just because this ideology exists sometimes. Because that's what this person was saying. Because it exists in this state, God is bad, and therefore to punish God, he was going to punish God's children, aka all other living thing. This is just edgelord shit. This is the speech from hatred. You just throw in trans instead of I think people are bad, right? And so I think the pattern is a lot deeper. A lot of conservative commentators are just going to be like, "Oh, see, trans makes you violent." Okay, and yeah, and video games and every other fucking thing. Let's remain as ignorant as we've always been, rather than see that there is a pattern with these kind of events, right? And it's not gun control either, because almost all of them happen in places where you're not supposed to have guns at all. So the real problem is something else.
Yeah.
It's a factor. It's a cluster of things, I think, that include mental illness, that include their upbringing, that include societal malice and disdain, people that feel left behind. The Joker movie, for all its faults, really digs into that kind of vibe where the system has let you down, so why not just laugh? A lot of people feel like that these days, and it can lead you to some scary and extreme places if you're not careful.
But Max, that narrative requires an IQ above room temperature to comprehend. And so, that's why you're not seeing a lot of these conservative commentators make that case, right? It's kind of audience limited.
Well, I do want to jump in here though and say I actually agree with Max, and we actually did a show on the shooting shortly after it happened, and we both said largely that this was not, that we weren't going to focus on the trans thing because it wasn't really relevant as to why the shooting happened, as much as the person wanted to make it that way. But I will say
I said at that time too that the outcome is the same as a lot of other extreme ideologies, and so it probably isn't as relevant as people think. It's probably a cluster. I know I said it was like a cluster of things. Then I sit there and read this manifesto, and this person was talking about their problems with their parents. They were talking about their problems not fitting in at school. They were talking the same shit you see from every single mass school shooter. Maybe that's the pattern, right? Maybe the pattern isn't extreme ideology. Maybe the extreme ideology is the variable in the equation that if you put it in, it's V, right? If you put V in the equation, it equals like a massacre.
Yeah, I will say,
but the recipe needs the rest of the equation needs to be set up correctly first for that to occur, right? It's not just the extreme ideology is what I'm saying. That's the last piece that you put in the puzzle to make it happen. It's just my thoughts, Sam. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I largely agree with everything you're saying. I do think the trans thing is relevant only in the sense that the media
covered it up.
Basically, the public for a long time, covered it up. Didn't. I mean, this is the first time in 2 years we're even hearing about.
That's where the real political issue comes in, right? Is what they choose to cover and not cover.
Yeah. Versus if this had been like, if I'm just going to use this as an example, had the shooter been like some sort of dude wearing a MAGA hat, or been like a or even like
You don't even have to go that far.
Like,
we've had examples
Yeah.
of like alt-right shooters and things. Like there was a synagogue shooter, right?
Yeah.
And the media covered that insanely. Or the one that
yeah.
oh my, what's that fucking shithead that shot up the black church? Dylan Bowl-cut fucking moron. Roof.
Yeah.
Dylan Roof. Yeah. Did they kill that kid yet? I hope they did. Anyway, like that. Like he just decided his solve for X variable in his equation was he just got told that black people were bad. And that led him to his thing. This person got told that you're born in the wrong body, and it led to it. I honestly think you have to set this equation up for that to occur, because how many people have these ideologies and don't engage in any kind of violence?
Yeah, I mean, Dylan's justification was he thought that people would look at what happened and go, oh, yeah, I am now going to do the same thing. I mean, imagine being that just
delusional.
Stupid.
Yeah, I think my point though is my overall point though is where other times the media would cover these things like nonstop, this is the one instance, and I do find interesting where the media was like, nope, we're not coming in this, which I actually think does a disservice to the trans community, actually, if you want to call it that, because I think if you're gonna
hold up Dip said, well, I guess they weren't delusional, they did the crime. No, the delusional thinking comes from that he thought the outcome was going to be people are like, oh yay, you killed a bunch of old black people at church, what a hero. That's delusional. No?
Yeah. No, that is absolutely delusional.
Even among people who were like edgelords that like agreed with his ideology, it became a meme because of like how retarded what he did was.
Yeah.
It became like a self-rage, like referential post-ironic thing.
Yeah.
And that's what the trans shooter is too, to their ideology, because it's not furthering anything. They weren't endearing themselves like, oh, I'm trans and people don't accept me, so let me murder a bunch of children in cold blood. That'll make people fucking love us. No, obviously that's why you can separate it from your average trans person or even your average trans activist, because these people will feel the same way. Like, don't do that in our name. Like, of all the crazy things I've seen trans activists do, I doubt any of them would actually. If anyone endorses that, I have something. Speaking of endorsing political violence, you heard about Tim Pool's misfortunes lately, huh?
Oh yeah, I heard about that, and then I also saw earlier today. This isn't really political, but I found it funny that that like even like normal like Fox News is now covering the steel toe, court case fiasco. Anyway,
well, he brought that on himself because he's talking about his shit in live streams, and that makes it. He wants that attention. Here's the thing, like we'll cover steel toe real quick, right? Because two of the guests probably don't even really know much about it. One, gentlemen, pro tip: sending naked pictures of your ex to anyone is a felony in almost every state. Please do not do that. Are we clear? Okay. Number two, if you do it, don't live stream yourself doing it, and also don't do it if you are in the midst of a bitter divorce that is unfolding in the courts. That's
Is that legal advice?
No, that's not legal advice. I would just think this is look, I'm you missed it, Shmuley. I came out as retarded a couple of weeks ago. It was really hard. So this is retarded advice. So I thought it was about time
Oh.
because I'm sick and tired. Look, man, who's lower? Like the cripple here. Like, what is a cripple afraid of? The cripple's afraid of that people might think he's a retard. Yeah, I'm a retard. What do they think if they think about me?
Yeah, well,
That's
you
like your biggest fear,
uh,
Sam, right? Is that people might think you're fucking retarded. Well, I am, huh? What do I do if they
Well-
think I'm retarded? I just tell them, yeah, I'm sorry.
well, that's
My
even
mom
like
dropped me on
fear
my head when
system.
I was a kid, so it's probably legit. I
That's not-
used to fight, and I get hit in the head a lot. My wife is face palming off camera, by the way. Hey, you're still here, right? Hey, hi, how are you?
Yeah, I'm still here.
That's not even my fear. That's just like a fear of like most disabled people or cripple men, as I've deemed calling us now.
Yeah,
But
see,
no, I
Sam, that's
mean,
your trick. That's you get the secret trick here, Sam, is that you're both crippled and retarded. I got you. We still got cake.
No, you're not
Well, I
being
mean,
catfished.
well, I mean, sometimes I can act retarded, but I'm not. So,
I don't know. We're gonna have to have you.
although,
We're gonna take you to the king shaman of retards, and he's gonna check you out. His name
who?
is Joe Rogan. I think you might have heard of him.
Oh yeah. I do listen to him a lot. So
Yeah, see, he's the high shaman
yeah.
of the tribe of retards. Like, nothing goes down without his say so.
Well, I mean, he's so retarded that he has like the largest podcast, in the world. And although, some would argue Mr. Beast, but that's a whole nother thing. Anyway, we actually do have, and we actually have topics other than the tran other than the Tranifesto.
Dude, I'm
Because
sorry.
I actually
I'm
got
fucking
a
dying right now because Max was fucking dying a second ago. Like, it was fucking hilarious.
yeah.
I'm fine.
For those of you not watching, for those listening on audio only, yeah, we just almost witnessed Max die. But no, besides the besides the Tranifesto getting released, we actually have another topic that I actually wanted to ask both Max and Maxine about, because I have a friend who is engaged to be married. I'm not going to get into
I
specific
totally
details,
thought you were gonna
and
say gay. I thought you were gonna say gay for sure. The way you said, I have a friend who's engaged. Oh, okay. Sorry, continue.
well, no, he's not. He's quite the opposite of a guy. But he's engaged, and here's the thing. So he's a young black guy who's voting for Trump this go round, because he recognized that Trump actually
Is
helped
real
the
recognized
black
real? I
community.
gotcha.
Yeah. His fiance, who I haven't met, but who I'm I would assume that she's nice and whatnot. She's black too, but she kind of has the, I guess, I don't even want to say
let me guess.
default, but
is she voting for Jill Stein?
No, she's supporting Kamala because she thinks it's time for a black woman president. Basically, is her reasoning, and but she's not involved politically at all, and so my buddy, is kind of like, okay, well, I'm still voting for Trump. And I guess she's considering breaking off the relationship with him. And I think
I'm gonna let her go first because mine's simpler.
Yeah. I personally think that that's a stupid reason to break up, to potentially end
real quick.
A relationship.
Mort said it's time for a crippled president. Motherfucker, we've had multiple crippled presidents. What are you talking about? Continue, Sam.
No, you know what? I actually agree with Morpheus on this one, but no, yeah. Well,
isn't Joe Biden a crippled president? Jeez.
No.
Oh, right. He's retarded. I forgot. My bad.
Yeah. Well, he's got. Well, being old is not the same. Being 100 billion years old is not
Hold
the
up.
same as
Joe
being
Biden.
crippled.
Joe Biden was retarded long before he was old. Go look at some of his old Senate speeches. He plagiarized his entire presidential speech from another guy. Yeah, Joe Biden's a massive retard. So we've got.
I know.
I mean, we get retarded presidents all the time. Look at W. But crippled presidents, you guys had FDR. That one fat guy was crippled. Reagan was crippled at the end. Joe Biden's kind of crippled. Bill Clinton's got the bent penis. He's kind of crippled. Does that count as crippled, Sam? I think it does. Look, if your penis is snapped basically in half, I think that's a disability.
Oh my God.
That's what I said when I first heard about his snapped penis.
I mean, I actually can't. I actually can't argue with that. Of course, if you didn't try and if Bill Clinton didn't try and create pussy smoke, with Monica, then he might not have a crippled, penis.
It's true. The pursuit of pussy smoke has been the downfall of many a man.
I so regret ever fucking coming up with that.
I do not.
It's no, we love it's like a fan favorite.
Go ahead and say it, Sam. We love pussy smoke.
We love pussy smoke. The joke. Even the women who
I love that cop out at the end there, Sam. That was good.
Well, I love pussy smoke, but that's a whole nother topic.
I bet it is.
What is pussy smoke?
Well, we had an engineer on to discuss.
You had to ask.
Well, for anyone listening that doesn't know this esoteric thing from 20 episodes ago, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, so we were discussing Bill Clinton's finest moments, let's say, and the fact that he had used a cigar on Monica Lewinsky's vaginal region and then smoked it. And my wife said pussy smoke at some point in this conversation, and I repeated it on air. And then we started talking about how you could make because that's not pussy smoke, that's smoking pussy. So how would you create pussy smoke? And we started talking about the physics of it. So we had to get Craig on, who is a PhD candidate engineer. And he came on and we discussed like the physics of the viscosity of the vaginal secretions and such. And we determined that to create pussy smoke would require fatality of potentially both the male and female participant.
That's amazing.
But wait, there's more. So he goes back on his show where he has another engineer and this dude Evan, who's dope. And then the other engineer is checking his math and telling him he's wrong. And so they had a whole show about the physics of pussy smoke for engineers.
Yeah.
And it's all because my wife made an offhand comment that we've never let her live down. And every time it comes up, the reason we'll talk about it extra long, including right now, is because of how uncomfortable it makes her. And sometimes even gets me smacked. It's beautiful.
Oh yeah, so beautiful that me trying to make one dumb joke created all of that. And we even made like a decal for a fucking shirt at one point.
That's correct. Pussy smoke shirts are still on the table eventually. I've been having problems with some of these shirt distributors. But yes.
Yeah. But no, now that we've established what pussy smoke is, let's go back to trying to fix relationships that, like, in my opinion, probably are doomed to fail. I would think. Look,
how long have they been together approximately?
Okay, so they've known each other for like 5 years, but they've been together for like a year and a half to 2 years.
Okay.
I think.
How long's been the engagement?
How long has
Right, well, because you don't get
I'm
engaged
sorry,
the day you meet.
How long have they been engaged?
Yeah, how long have they been engaged?
Oh, they got engaged, I want to say like 3-4 months ago.
And
So
did they never discuss their political views before that, or like has his changed? Did he like vote for Biden before, and like this is kind of like new to her? Like,
so he was mostly, I want to say, when I first met him back in 2016, because we went to college together, he didn't vote in 2016 just because he didn't like either candidate. And then when Trump became president, he was actually like surprised at how well, like, the economy and everything did. And so, like, he was so he liked Trump.
Can I ask?
For Trump
Can I ask what does he do for a living? Like what kind of field is he in? I guess
he was doing like, I think he was doing mechanic work, or at least that's what he majored in school. I'm not sure if he
right. So it's
actually,
probably some type of trade level. That's all I really
Yeah.
needed. So he makes
Yeah.
good money for whatever, reasonably good money. I think that's important. Now, does she have an occupation that you know of?
I don't know. I want to say he told me that she was like, that she's still going to school to become like a nurse, but I'm not sure like what she actually does.
I mean, even still, that's a
she-
short-term degree, so that's a potential income. So it's not necessarily a gold digger situation. That's what I was kind of getting at. It doesn't sound like it. She's going to school. She has an occupation that makes good money, and that doesn't take long to get into and get work in. So it doesn't sound like she's just chasing him for his money. That's all I want.
Yeah. What? Right. It does seem to me though, like, and again, I've never met her, but like, based on what I've heard of her, she seems to kind of, I mean, I hate to say this, but she seems to react to things more emotionally. So like I can kind
A
of
woman being
understand her
emotional,
liking.
Sam? Come on. Don't tell me fairy tales, Sam.
Well, that's why I want to have Maxine on here though, because like he's trying
So
to
I can say
explain.
things like that until she smacks me one.
Well, no, he's like trying to. So what he's told me is he's explained to her, the whole thing, like, Trump's economy and being good, and also my friend doesn't like Kamal either because of her horrendous record with like imprisoning innocent black, maybe not innocent, but like, black men who have been like, convicted of like minor crimes.
Over
And
incarceration, essentially, like incarcerating
yeah,
people too
yeah,
long or whatever. Yeah, for sure.
yeah, and the girlfriend is just like, but she's a strong black, woman, and
One more question: has there been expressed to you that they have any other issues? Because like from a couple perspective, this could be what's presented on the surface, but like, did he ever say if they have good communication? Do they argue? Anything like that? Or is it just this? At least that he's told you. Obviously, you're not there, so you don't know if there's other things.
As far as what he's told me, this is it. If I had to guess, and kind of knowing him,
Me too. I'm guessing, and I don't know him, that there's probably a little more to it.
There's definitely something else, because this doesn't sound like something like the one thing that would completely destroy a relationship. And I guarantee that it's probably more on her end for the ridiculousness of all of this. And that she's probably angry at him for some ridiculous, stupid thing that he doesn't even know about. And being a typical woman, instead of just fucking telling the guy what's wrong with you, she holds it in and builds it up. And then again, being a woman will make scenarios of all the shit. And so she's angry. And then it's like, oh my God, and now you're not going to vote for Kamala? Oh my God, you're such a misogynist, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
I could totally, and I could totally picture that that's the scenario. But I do think it is worth bringing up, because like that is a question I've gotten a lot, is how do you deal in a relationship with, like,
here's my simple answer to that.
When your significant other has like other politics, I guess.
Well, we've been saying from the get-go, I think, at least I have consistently, that like if you're looking at a woman as a man and she has extreme or even somewhat extreme politics, even if they're the ones you agree with, that should be a red flag to you, because women by default gravitate towards other things. The political woman is often also the crazy woman.
Here's the thing though too, Max, is
unless she's married, like a married political woman is a different animal usually, because they settle into a life, they have more at stake. It's not just because their husband rubs off on them either. They literally have more skin in the game. Women who are unmarried that have strong politics, because generally I'm assuming they're in their 20s, right?
Yeah.
Strong politics for a single woman in her 20s, gentlemen, is not a positive, even if they agree with you. And it's especially not a positive if they disagree, because a young woman is more prone to make that her identity. And that's what you got to be worried about, because then you have to go along with the thing. And that includes for right wingers, by the way. A right wing woman who's extreme, who's single, and you get in a relationship with you, might start making the demands of you all of a sudden. Suddenly, it's like, well, you don't go to church enough. Well, you don't do this. Like, from either angle, a woman who's highly motivated towards politics before she's married is just generally not somebody you would want to marry. And that's just advice.
Because for them, on top of everything you said, there's also that factor of appearance, how you look, how your life looks, how you present yourself. And a lot of women they want to present themselves as being like the ultimate of whatever it is they're trying to achieve. Like whether it's trying to be like the perfect liberal feminist, they're going to portray like their entire life as that. Just like these girls that you see that they literally signed a petition happily that was supposed to repeal the 19th Amendment. And at this point in my life, after everything that I've seen, I would not be as upset about that if they did that right now as I would have in the past. Might be a good thing for some of the shit we got going on, to be honest.
Right, but you're kind of leaving out the important part. They didn't realize that's what they signed, right?
No, they did. The person that had the clipboard said, "Oh, we're asking women if you want to sign this petition to repeal the 19th Amendment for women's suffrage." That is exactly
right. And
how
they don't,
it was put to them.
And they don't know what suffrage means. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
They don't know what suffrage means, and they didn't know they didn't know that the 19th Amendment was the right for women to vote.
Right.
They had no idea. And I'm sitting here like, how are you that fucking stupid? And you're running around here like, oh, the government shouldn't have the right, my body, my choice, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you don't even know what the fucking amendment is that protects one of the things that you hold so dearly so that you can, breathe off into the fucking ether after you vote for Kamala.
If you slow down for 1 second, though, it makes perfect sense. They don't know what suffrage is, okay? End women's suffering. Yeah, I want to end women's suffering. Yeah.
Oh, I get it. So they just have no idea what the suffrage was. Like all the fucking feminists that were on the fucking soapboxes that they sit here and say, "Oh yeah, I'm with feminists." So you have no fucking idea what it. My husband said something earlier that I laughed at in the Gilded, talking about there should be a test you have to take. I'm kind of with you now.
Well, that's my alternative. Whenever I see somebody bring up taking away some group's right to vote, whether it be women or non-landowners or whatever, I kind of counter with like, shouldn't the first thing be like, let's add 5 questions to voter registration to see if you know what the fucking Constitution is? Right? Like the most basic ass things, and they should be on that questionnaire. And if you don't get 3 out of 5, you don't get to vote. I'm not talking about ending all women's right to vote. I'm just saying, let's have a test. And if you don't know how the government works at all, you can't vote. Like that would be the simplest solution, because a lot of people don't know things like that. And they're like, yeah, I want to end that women's suffering. Oh yeah.
Right. In the case my friend's fiance, who again, I don't know very well, but like, I don't think she's a political radical. I do know that she follows.
No, but they made Kamala the thing. That's what that's what my wife was speaking towards, is like, especially if you're a black woman right now, there's a lot of pressure to be a Kamala supporter because it's the thing, right? The View told you so. And that other version of The View with all black women told you so. And, it's funny, though. Charlemagne the God is like the one not telling you so right now, which is interesting.
Yeah, right now, being a Kamala supporter is like having the newest Fendi bag. It's trendy. It's what you're supposed to be doing. That's why a lot of the fucking, oh my God, what do they call the people that do TikToks for a job? Influencers. The ones that get paid to do that shit are it's like, oh, it's the hip new thing, they're gonna help us. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened with my friend is he never you know, he and his fiance, they never talked politics because it just never came up. And so as far as I can tell, she's just doing the Kamala thing because, as you said, it's the thing right now.
Yeah,
She doesn't
that's
actually
what it
know
sounds
what's going on.
that's weird to me though. The
So
fact that they've been together for 5 years and they've never really discussed politics. That just seems strange to me. Like,
yeah,
I know that Max is like the politics guy. Like I wasn't at all when we first got together, but like even I don't know, maybe like 6 months in we kind of talked about it a little bit. Maybe that's just not the norm. I thought it was kind of normal to
Well,
you would
I was
share that.
I was gonna say I know this is kind of directed towards Max and you, but I mean, it would come up on tertiary issues. I mean, just philosophical questions. I mean, this is just something that kind of like you would get a
yeah,
general sense of. I understand if someone kind of really knows very little of it and really doesn't know what they're talking about, and then all of a sudden they've just become convinced that it's the most important thing in the world that they could get carried away. But yeah, it would seem odd to me that you wouldn't have a general sense of that kind of thing. I mean, I at least in my dealings, it's like very casual. I don't know. Maybe I'm in a rare spot in the country, but I just talk about that stuff like
and,
the weather or something. It's not a big deal to
yeah.
disagree.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not the only
No,
one.
and
I
that
did find that a little strange that it's like after it's just like 5 years and you've never discussed it at all. I mean, because I mean, Smoothie's right. Like
yeah,
even within your relationship itself, there are things that you would need to talk about like that, especially if you're planning a future or anything. It's kind of important to
well,
talk about.
and that is specifically why I wanted to ask you and Max about this, because like I'm a bad person to kind of ask about that, because like my career for for a large part of my life, like people know me as a political guy. So like I I don't talk politics all the time anymore, but I talk about it more than most people do. And so I thought I agree with you. I do think it's a little weird that like he and his fiance, that they got engaged without like discussing what their beliefs are in regards to, like, that to me is weird in of itself. But
Yeah, I agree.
you know, I
When you get
thought maybe
engaged, it should be at the point where I mean, you're never gonna fully know your spouse, your husband, wife, whatever. Like you got to be with them for a while,
yeah.
and then you're really going to get to know them. But yeah, those are some important things to talk about, especially when you're engaged. Are some of your political views, so that if anything comes up in the relationship, I mean, heaven forbid, if like there is a pregnancy that you weren't planning for, and now all of a sudden you got to discuss like abortion, adoption, if you're going to keep it. And especially with the way a lot of freaking women are now, it's
Yeah.
they're going to be like, oh, just kill it. And then it's like, but it opens up such a huge, big problem in the relationship, especially at that point, especially if you're married, because that has ended marriages.
But once
Yeah,
again, I
that
mean, the
yeah, that
fact I mean, I once again, I'm a pretty private guy, but like I had essentially a very similar conversation to the hypothetical one you're making, and it was like, oh, okay, yeah, so why? Oh, okay, yeah, I see that point of view, yeah, and then like we had dinner and hung out and watched movies. Like it's not, um,
yeah.
like just from the limited information that you've given, one would find it odd that this was like a huge issue rather than just like a calm conversation where you hear each other out.
I think I think my buddy, just to, just to be fair to you guys, I think what happened is my my friend is the type who like he meets a girl and he'll fall like hard for her, and so I think he was just like so blinded by love that he didn't like fully, like actually ask, like he didn't even like slow down really to um like ask her some important questions. Although even like the other weird thing though is that they were friends too before they like got into a relationship, and like at some point like you even discuss like, at least I have, like I've discussed my, values and views with some of my friends. So it is a weird like ca- case in particular, but I feel like overall, like, yeah, if you're in a relationship, like at some point you need to like discuss what your values are before you like even engage,
Yeah,
um,
absolutely.
or
I,
decide to get engaged.
yeah, because I mean, I know that if Max were sitting here right now, he'd be like, "But those are fake." Uh, a lot of Reddit stories are about similar things to this. In the
Yeah,
aspect of they didn't talk really about what they wanted, and then they got married, and a lot of them are grossly about wanting to have an open marriage, which, just for the record, it never works. Okay, I've known people in my personal life
yeah,
that have had these relationships and it never goes well, and it's unfortunately both of my friends were the women in the relationship, and they got fucked over hardcore, and there were children involved in one of them. So open marriages and open relationships do not work. Please do not do them. Not if you are serious about your relationship.
But Maxine, that's just because other people are so lame. They have jealousy and all this like primitive stuff. I'm sure that
Oh yeah.
we're just so much better than you. That's the thing I hate about those people the most. It's like, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It always seems to fail spectacularly, but they always run around being smug about how they're better than everyone else.
Yeah.
It seems,
Mhm.
it's never like you find out 10 years after they've been doing it, oh, we're actually an open marriage, and you're like, oh, I didn't know that. Right? They're gonna tell you. They're gonna let you know.
Oh yeah, and you're going to be in awkward situations with them where it's like you're out, with your girlfriend having dinner, and then, oh, hey, there's Chuck with, who the fuck is that? Oh, your girlfriend. But you're married to Janice. Oh, she's dating Tom. Oh, you have an open. All right, honey,
My
let's go. Like,
my favorite has been, I for whatever reason, Instagram is giving me like both polygamist and polyamorous content. And the thing that's really funny about the polyamory content is the cope about, you guys would be jealous if your significant other was out on a date with other people, and then they do a little dance and they're happy because they're going to get leftovers.
love
yeah.
it.
It's
Gross.
In two
no,
ways than
I
one, right? They're getting leftovers. I mean,
Dude, I
unfortunately,
was taking a
Maxine,
shit and I missed it.
unfortunately, Maxine, I also know people who are in polyamorous relationships, and right now the person I know, they think their relationship is working out, even though it's not. So, um, yeah, it's just, yeah. What more can I say about that?
yeah, I mean
Yeah.
So,
the polygamy ones are all Muslim, and they're all women talking about how uh, you know great your husband having multiple wives is.
Yeah, I don't. Okay, there's what the fuck is that
I'm
show? the guy. Oh, the
Go ahead.
what is it? The fucking sister wives or whatever that bullshit is. The women that are all married to the one guy, and it's like left
Yeah.
and right he's
Oh.
getting divorced because they're like, oh, this is actually really horrible, and I'm just sitting there going, you fucking think?
Well, the
Yeah.
thing that I'm and I've said this prior, and it does.
It's very
actually-
progressive.
I am kind of scared of the kind of promotion of both Muslim and Eastern European styles of relationships and views on women, particularly among like young men, and inevitably will spread among women too. I think that mentality jeopardizes how Americans have traditionally viewed femininity and viewed relationships. I think that like I just personally am off put by both of it. And I would
Shmuley, why have sex with one person when you can have sex with many people?
well,
Then just be a whore.
look, the problem I have with it, and this framing I think could help a lot of guys. If you want to go with that, that's fine. If you want to have your harem of women and treat them like Muslims are told to treat women, go ahead. But just tell me, would you want your daughter to be in that situation? And do you want your kids to have genes of the woman who's okay with you treating them like that? Do you want the genetics in your kids of someone who wants to be totally submissive to you?
You know, that's an argument that I use with people when they talk about shit like that, or just like guys that
Yeah.
will have like the warped view of like stuff like that happening to women isn't that bad. And it's like, okay, but what if that was your sister? What if that was your mother? What if that was your aunt? What if that was your fucking grandmother? Because this happens to old women too, which is so fucking sick and twisted. Like, just take the situations those situations, and you're like, oh, they're not that bad, and throw someone that you know in your family, a loved one, a friend that's a female, and then ask yourself that question again of like, is it really okay? Or
Yeah, I mean,
is it bad?
I get it. That's like a really empathetic thing, but like I said, for me, I like legitimately, do you want to do you want to have like your lineage mixed with someone who's okay with you treating them that way?
Yeah, no, see, I wouldn't.
Because
Because
I'm not. Not at all.
I wouldn't want that to be taught
Yeah.
to my kids.
Yeah.
You're Shmuel, you're also you are also this is why I love you. You're assuming that they think that far, right? Most of them
No, they don't.
aren't
They
even
don't.
think
They don't. I'm just
Right.
trying to convince people like me that like to be resistant against those memes. And one of the
But
ways to do that is
Shmuley,
content.
why not put dick in many holes? It seems that more than one is more than one.
Well, is not
Shut
the
up, Max.
Ethan Ralph method better for that? If you're maximizing the mini hole thing, why do you have rings on any fingers and invest in any women and children?
Why are young guys way more averse to prostitution? It seems like because they'll be an incel rather than pay, $300 or whatever. It just seems silly to me.
You have to actually like make money. You have to have disposable income.
Yeah. There you go.
And where are you gonna meet these prostitutes at, right?
And
they don't want to
nowadays
go
on
into
the
public.
internet.
Yeah, but they don't want to go to in public.
Well, make a little bit more money. They'll come to your parents' basement, I'm sure.
That's what I'm telling you. Look, I mean, an incel gets a job flipping cars. They're gonna not be an incel for very long.
That's true.
Yeah. You gotta make sure that they're not gonna record you for their OnlyFans too. Just
Well, then it's legal.
not if you don't know about it.
Yeah, but I mean, if you know about it, then it's legal. Then it's not prostitution. You've just produced a film.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's literally how porn stars get around it being prostitution. My wife didn't know that. They literally just are doing prostitution, but if there's a camera there, it's a film.
Oh, for fuck's sake. That is
Yep.
absolutely fucking crazy.
Well, it's true, right?
I didn't know that. I really
They
didn't.
can hash out the prices, right, openly because it's for a film, not for prostitution. So they could be like $10 for $10 extra bucks for the reach around, and $350 for the base price and all that shit. They can literally itemize it openly on their taxes.
Yeah, I've seen it on Craigslist before, a listing,
Can you imagine having to write something about anal sex on your fucking taxes?
Do you know how many women have to write about their anal sex on their taxes? Think about that for 1 second. Every porn star.
That's horrifying to me. Like, legitimately, why?
Every cam girl that sticks something in her butt, you know what I mean? She's got, especially some of them, they're writing off the toys and stuff as tax write-offs. If they're smart, hey,
you know what? Like,
I encourage that. Actually, if you're gonna be in that business, you might as well get one over the tax man, right?
Well, what I loved was when they were I believe it was OnlyFans. I believe it was when it first came out, and 4chan was just reporting these broads right or left because they go on stream, and then they would ask them about like their income and taxes, and they would on stream say like, I don't know how to report my taxes, and then they would report them to the IRS, and you get a cut. I believe it's like $300 per report or something of that effect.
Yeah.
Just right off the top of the head, I don't know. I never did that.
It was like it was a thought audit, and I thought that was pretty good. But a lot of the
I
porn
didn't make
$1,600. Porn broads tend to like know their tax stuff. That's why they like. I've seen a video about a girl doing like the economics of it when you do it right, because she's pointing out so many of them do it wrong. She's like, you get in, you have like 2 good years and you make 1 trillion films, but you better make sure you don't come out with less than 7 figures, honey.
Well, I've seen it's been too long now, but I was watching a thing on like the economics of sort of OnlyFans and like the sort of inequality and inequality in incomes, right? And it's to be expected, right? Like on one end you have like Belle Delphine, but like you think that Belle Delphine is just like some thought in her room, right? But like she has a makeup team, she has proper lighting, she has a video editor. It's in operation.
She herself went to school for production.
Yeah, exactly. So like you see these few people making just an astronomical amount of money, and then there's the people pulling in, $200,000, $300,000 a year, very wealthy doing it. But like the average woman on there is making like maybe $200 a month, and they're like pooping in buckets and like
they have
is
to
it even be worth it at that point? I mean, that just seems degrading. Not uplifting at all.
Well, none of it's uplift. That's the lie that the other side seems to tell, is that it's uplifting. Talk to any girl that's been in the business and is out now, and every single one is like, it's not uplifting at all. It ruined my fucking life. You'll hear ones that are in the business still, or the very few that have transitioned to like legitimate quote unquote show business will tell you that it's great. But literally every other one is like, you better make your money, you better make it fast, and you better be okay with yourself and not kill yourself, because hey, the rate of porn stars killing themselves from both drug overdoses and suicides is very, very high, wouldn't you know? What a shock. And then also getting incurable STDs is very high.
Yeah, well, I mean, even like the proper stuff, I mean, I know the male ones, they take Viagra because you got to do multiple hours of shooting, and then the Viagra doesn't work, and they end up injecting a version of Viagra into their penis. and then like gay scenes
Gay
pay
for
more.
pay.
Yeah, they pay more, and so they end up doing the gay porn. But back to sort of like the OnlyFans stuff. It is the girls think I can make a bunch of money at this. I can do this, and
all I have to do is just show my titties like Playboy.
Yeah, and stuff like that.
That's how they start. They start with like, I'm not gonna have to do much for that money.
Mm-hmm.
They start out with feet pics. I've actually seen that happen to some girls that I followed on TikTok, and they were selling feet pics, and I'm like, my God, that somehow that feels a little bit more dirty. That it's just your feet that the guys want.
Well, once again, I mean, it's an open market, but like it's like anything, right? Like the idea that it's going to be like completely low effort is just not the actual how the industry works.
I'm so pretty. I should get $1 million right off the bat because look at me. I think I'm so great. That's the attitude where most of them go ruined, right?
Yeah.
Is because they're really maybe a 7 or an 8 in actual world, like most guys would say that's what they are, but they think they're a 12.
And there's the detriment of white knighting, because you make these girls think that they are way gorgeous, that they're better than they are. You have inflated their ego so much that they think they can go to OnlyFans, and then their entire ego gets shattered when they realize, oh, I'm not getting like $1,000 from like 2 guys. Like, because you're right. They think that they're going to make so much money off of it, but there's a lot of work and effort and stuff behind the scenes that goes into that shit.
But naked 20
I mean, and it's
woman is a commoditized product online.
Yeah.
And so you need to have like niche differentiation. In fact, one of that caused quite a controversy as 2 allegedly normal girls put dildos in their panties and then took pictures of themselves to promote their OnlyFans, where they are as a trans. It's trans pornography, even though they were born female. And this caused controversy because people were saying that they were stealing their trans people's identity, and that their gender as trans people is not a costume. Okay, you can't just show up and pretend to be trans. Now,
you're literally wearing a costume, dude.
Other people pointed out that nowhere on their profile does it say that they were not trans. The only reason why these people were saying that they weren't really trans was because they were too pretty to be trans.
Right. There's no built-in discrimination to any of this woke shit, right?
So once again, we see kind of like this ideology, the stuff that they would assert is so real, and we all need to bow down and agree that this stuff is real, fades as soon as a woman puts a dildo in her panties and then says, "Follow my trans OnlyFans."
Yeah, it's funny how something so small and minor can just derail the whole thing.
It's funny. I want to go back to something my wife said there. The simping, right? The simping takes these girls, and they still get the attention. So if the money's not there, they keep doing it and going to further and further. That's kind of what we were talking about. And so, yeah, simping for these women, gentlemen, you could end up with, and now I'm gonna shit in the bucket, because you've told her she's so hot. And she makes that $200 a week or whatever she makes actually pays her rent and whatever. And so she's trying to meet that goal, doing more and more extreme things. Obviously, the shit in a bucket's like the final. Well, maybe not. Maybe what's the final end with? I guess blacked is the final end for a lot of them. That's what they say.
Well, I know that. What was that famous video of the woman sitting in the chocolate cake and farting? Because that was just that was just so artistic, and it was so beautiful, and I was so moved. Like,
I've seen a clip that our old friend of the show, Rick posted, where a woman placed Mentos in her area,
No.
and then
No.
pulled it wide, and a gentleman poured Diet Coke inside
Gentleman.
the orifice,
Christ! What the fucking
causing
hell?
the reaction and the fizz to shoot up out everywhere.
Oh, that takes squirting to a whole new level.
So I'm thinking that perhaps that is the final endpoint. That is you have won at that point.
Or the bottom.
I also want to point out, though, that you mentioned that, like, a lot of these girls, they start out, thinking that they're just going to do like tasteful news like Playboy.
Or even bikini photos, most of them start with, actually.
Right. Well, a lot of them don't realize, in fact, like, none of them realize, like, the
depths of male depravity, Sam? That's what they don't understand? The depths of male depravity?
Well, they don't realize that, but they also don't realize that modeling actually, like, takes, like, some, like, it's actual, like, work. It, like, doing promotions and stuff. It's not just
amateur
posting.
modeling. Amateur modeling means porn, girls. Since I gave the guys some advice for girls, if it's not professional through, like, a reputable company that you should look through the Better Business Bureau and everything about, and an agency, you're not modeling. You're doing a level of porn, and the next level will get deeper. Trust me. Amateur modeling is porn, and that's all that it is, and they will get you naked.
That's why I warn young girls about the whole Instagram modeling too, because that can be, it's Instagram, but Instagram isn't running the people that are doing the modeling. So that doesn't mean that it's safe and you should be doing it. And yeah, it's a slippery slope.
No. Just get flown out to Dubai by a random Saudi Arabian businessman who wants to spend a weekend with a beautiful girl and treat her like a god. It's fine. Just go to Dubai. It'll be perfectly fine. And then you'll meet Andrew Tate while you're there and end up working in his porn slave factory. Allegedly.
Nice name drop there.
Allegedly.
Well,
nice alleged name drop there, Max.
Anyway, so ask you something, Sam. If you didn't mind me talking about something that the Sammich makers have possibly in the future for a sec.
Sure.
I wouldn't allow it if I were you.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So we were talking about the whole OnlyFans cam girls, basically. So I don't know when this is going to happen. We're still doing a lot of talking, but a future episode for the Sammich Makers broadcast is actually going to have one of these cam girls come on, and we're actually going to talk to her about it and get her perspective on it. She's no longer a cam girl, so it's kind of going to be like how her life was when she was doing that work and how it is now.
How deep into cam girl shit was she? Do you know?
I'm not exactly sure, but I think it was pretty deep.
Was it at least explicit? Like sexual explicit, like nudes and stuff?
Chibi would definitely know more about that than me because she's the one that's actually been talking to this woman for us.
Because, like, I could get you an interview with some MMO whores. I've told you about that before. For anybody that doesn't know, if you play any MMO, World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy 14, etc., there are going to be roleplay whores that you pay either in-game or sometimes real-life money to text message emotes back and forth with their avatar about having sex.
I would actually like to interview someone like that. I think that would be a fun episode too.
And before you all laugh, this is a multi-million-dollar industry.
No, Max. That's why I'm laughing, because of course it is.
It's bigger for Final Fantasy 14 now, and that's because it has more of a like realistic art style combined with a lot of fashion choice, and emotes, and you get your own house. So in Final Fantasy, that scene is popping because they have brothels. And your house is located in a physical location in the game, right? So you will know where the brothel is. It's the same place every week. Every Friday night, they'll have a dance party. They'll have you tune into a Twitch stream, and it's an actual, like, they have actual DJs play these parties, and you get to pick out, I'm not even kidding, you get to pick out which girl you want. And hey, there's no guarantee it's a girl, Sam. But it looks like the avatar is a girl, and you text message them. It might be a dude.
That's
and you
that's
pay by
sad.
Pay by the hour, and then they take you to their private room, and whatever you pay for, you get completely through text and emotes. By the way,
so you're paying to sext with somebody and play with a cartoon?
Yes, you are paying to sext and play with a cartoon avatar and tell them what to do. Yes, and like. You have to do that shit where you like emote sex stuff because there's no way to actually simulate it in the game.
Oh my god. So you mean like they're fucking putting up eggplant emojis for dicks and the peaches for
No, not that kind of emote. Like a game emote, so where the characters act shit out.
Oh, like you and that fucking train whistle shit you do.
I'm not even sure what the fuck that means, but I will.
When you do the choo choo chugga 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 chugga, and then you like go walk around in a circle.
Yes, if you do /train and WoW, you go chugga 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 choo choo. And I actually got kicked out of a guild for that, Sam.
Oh yeah, I love running train.
Yeah, so I have a toy that you put down, and it makes everybody in a 40-yard radius start doing that uncontrollably.
And it is so fun to watch. He's had me watch it like I can't even tell you how many times, and it's funny every single time.
Yeah. So you put it down in raid when the fucking raid leader's too serious, and he's like, "Okay, guys, we're about to go in there. I need all the DPS on the left, healers on the right, tanks. You stand central. Anybody have any questions?" And I'm just like, "I have a question. I'm melee DPS. Where should I stand?" And the guild leader is like, "You know where you should stand, right under the boss on the right. Like I said, any other questions?" And that's when I put the train toy down, and everybody goes, "Choo choo!" And if you have your sound turned on, it's deafening. And I did this like every week at least once, where I'd ask a question, and when he started to answer all mad, I would drop the train. And then he said, "If you drop the train again, I'm kicking you out of the guild." And so I'm not in that guild anymore. Fuck you. I love my trains, Sam.
We went from relationship advice to
running trains on a raid in Warcraft.
To now we're talking about running trains in World of Warcraft.
That's how it is on the Whitfield report.
I said, folks, this is the Whitfield report, and anything can happen here, and will usually.
So getting back to the relationship advice. Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say we have another guest here.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say the N-word, so I was way off.
Maxine was gonna say something. I don't want to disrupt. I just wanted to get in on the choo-choos real quick.
Oh, okay. Hey, Apex.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, what were you saying, Maxine?
Oh, yeah. Getting back to the relationship advice, I have been thinking about it. And what I would honestly tell your friend is that one thing, it definitely needs to have conversations about where he lies politically, or at least just like his beliefs, and have that conversation with her and find out where they are. Because I think it's going to be important that they do talk about it. Even if they ultimately do break up, it's still going to be good for both of them to do that. I also think that
Yeah.
it might be a good idea to call off the engagement temporarily and
Yeah.
try just getting to know each other better just as a couple and not stress about that stuff. And if she still is like, no, we need to break up, blah, 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 then unfortunately, she might not just be ready emotionally, mentally, all that stuff for a serious relationship. And he might need to consider looking for someone else that's going to be a better suit for him and that he can have this conversation with. And she's not going to act irrationally and stupidly because that's exactly what she's doing to end a relationship, a 5-year relationship, and after just getting engaged, to end it all because he's voting for Trump and you want to vote for Harris is the dumbest thing I think I've ever heard in my life, or at least
No,
one of the top.
I'm with you there. See, he needs to do a journey of self-discovery because she's basically saying you gotta vote for Harris because that's my reasoning, you know. And I think he needs to look inwards and see maybe he will vote for Harris. Like he may have to confront his sexuality to do it because if you're gonna be Democrat, you know, you got to be gay now. But I do think he needs a journey of self-discovery because you know. Are you a straight man and want to do what you want, or are you going to let some bitch tell you how to vote?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. That was kind of what I told him too. If I'm being honest, I mean, I I honestly think that like if your relationship is like if your relationship is on the skids because of differing political views, that's not a good relationship to begin with.
Well,
I don't think.
if it's one person, then that's a problem. See, if it's both people are like, I'm uncomfortable with you being the opposite of me, then they'll probably do what she said and talk, right? But if it's one person telling the other person, then
Yeah.
it's tyrannical. It's I'm going to tell you how to spend your vote. And if you care about that vote, maybe some people they don't care about their vote, right? So they'd be like, yeah, fine, whatever. If you care about that vote, then draw a line in the sand and say, no, I'm gonna vote for who I'm gonna vote for. I'm a grown ass man.
That's actually why I broke up with my last girlfriend in college. She was a Republican, but she was a never Trump Republican, and she didn't, she bought into all the, Trump's a misogynist and grab him by the pussy is bad and all that. And I just said, look, I know you don't like Trump. I know he has issues, but I think he's better than Hillary, and I'm going to vote for him regardless. And if that's going to be a deal breaker for you, then I'm sorry. So
Well, because it sounds
and
like
we
from the story you first told that this guy came to voting to Trump on his own. Now, nobody told him this.
yeah
He was looking around and he's made this decision. And she has a different decision, and she came to it through her own reasoning as well. And like a reasonable couple would say, okay, that's fine, and move on. You're a grown person. I'm a grown person. We'll vote for different
yeah
people and see who wins.
I think go ahead, Sammy. Go ahead.
His reasoning too, I think, is a little bit more interesting because he kind of went through a journey of self-discovery and actually realized, hey, look, actually, my friend Sam was actually right about Trump, and hey, the economy actually is, pretty good under Trump. Whereas,
he opened his eyes to looking at another perspective on things, which that's why I meant he came to this on his own. Whereas if he was just like always a right winger, I would be a little harsher about it, actually.
Yeah, it's not one of those things. Yeah, he kind of had an awakening, whereas like his girlfriend, I think, is she's just voting for Kamal honestly because my favorite influencer told me
Yeah, unfortunately, that's
too.
kind of what it really sounds like with her, because
Yeah.
just the little bit that you've said, and I'm hoping maybe I'm wrong. For his sake, I hope that I'm wrong, but it kind of seems like one of those situations where the girl is just going to stick with whatever she thinks just because it is the most popular thing in the world, and heaven forbid if she goes against the grain for even a second, she's going to lose followers, she's going to drop this, her friends aren't going to want to be with her because women are fucking stupid. I seriously sometimes am ashamed to be a woman seeing how some of them act so irrationally and just they open their mouths and I'm just like, you do you not have a filter, or like do you not Google shit? Are you seriously just getting your information off TikTok? Because look, I like TikTok, but it's not the place I would go to for sources on the news.
Where
Yeah.
would you nowadays, though? That's the problem.
Yeah.
Not
It-
here. Not here. We're talking about running trains in Warcraft, so you don't get your news on the Whitfield report. So, like, where does one go to get news nowadays?
I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, I've never claimed to be like a news. I'm a news comment. We're more of like news commentary, if anything.
Yeah.
So
No, but it's true. It's like, where do you get your news? These kids just get it off of TikTok. It's a lot of them. The other thing though is, if I'm him, you said he's essentially like middle class, maybe even upper middle class. He's got a trade. He's a valuable, guy to you. So I can't imagine somebody being your friend that's a real piece of shit. So I'm assuming that he's a pretty high value guy. And again, like, the question a gentleman always needs to ask is, how much am I willing to put up with? And can I do better than that? Because if you're getting told you have to change your vote, a vote that you came to on your own, that's the most important kind, actually, in my humble opinion, is the vote that you do what your parents said, or the vote because everybody in your town votes that way is one thing. But this is a guy that was supposed to vote the other way, actually, and thought about it and really put, some stake in it. And it means something to him. And for her to say to give that up, well, is she worth it? That's the question you need to. Is she worth it? Because I know I am worth something.
Yeah, it comes down to if he wants to question his own morals and his own beliefs for pussy, essentially. And is that worth it? And I mean, I don't really think so.
I do want to present real quickly a different sort of perspective, because I do agree with you guys, but I think politics, especially in the age of social media, has been so effectively weaponized that young people, or people of really any age, 40 and under, maybe 50 and under, especially if they get radicalized in some way or another by Trump or Kamala or whatever, they get hyper fixated on it. It becomes sort of their thing. It becomes like it's almost like a hobby.
Exactly what I was talking about earlier with the trans shooter. I see that same pattern over and over and over again, not just in extreme cases now, but like you're saying, like normal discourse has become that. It's a complete fixation.
Right. So what I think is important, especially in terms of like young relationships, if there are more positives, like if you love this woman, if there's obviously things, man or woman, that attracted you to them in the first place and has got you to that point, and this one thing has been what broke it. I mean, maybe it's better to just not talk politics.
Well, that's kind of what I was getting at with, like, to evaluate what is she worth. You have to know what you're worth, obviously, is kind of my take on it. Your take is the other side. What is she worth?
Obviously.
Yeah,
clearly, yeah.
And both of those things are equally important in this case, especially because, yes, if this is really a trivial thing between them, and like I mentioned before, it sounds like there's probably something else going on that we're just not aware of. And
there's also a good chance that any human being with a functioning brain can come to the same conclusion that know the backstory, but from what I've gathered, could come to the same conclusions or similar if led down the right path and not shoved down their throat, you know, with all this propaganda, you know, built up around them through every fucking thing we all consume, you know, even Snapchat. I saw Snapchat filters, like the first one on, like when you try to take a picture just the other day. I don't use it often, but when I just happened to open up, it was like a vote Kamala thing. So just for the hell of it, I put in the search bar Trump, and it was all like mockery, like thing. You know what I mean? It was like making you look like a cartoonish version of Trump. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I mean, yeah, it's very clear what's going on, and you can't really blame people for falling for the propaganda. What you need to do is give them some grace if you care about them at all. Give
We've
them
been
some
saying time and time
Try to
again
lead them out.
since I've been on this show, like this has been my refrain, right? Is to meet people where they're at, not where you want them to be. Because and that makes all the difference in the world. Yes, you might want this this guy to or this girl to see your side of things, but she just doesn't. And you're not going to get her to where you're at by starting where you're at. You got to start where she's at. Lead her over that way.
It's also important to recognize in all cases that you don't know everything. You could probably learn things from people if you put on the right perspective. If you try to.
Well,
I have liberal people I talk to every day.
Yeah, go ahead, Sammy. What were you saying?
And to be fair, I think my friend has done that though. That's the thing. That's how he went from being a default liberal pretty much to being a Trump guy, was because he did.
And what Apex was getting at is that to remember that she could do the same.
Right. Yeah, and to not shove it down her throat. Like, yeah, it's totally valid to be excited about it and to endorse it and all these things, but you have to understand that other people are still in that fucking bubble, and to try and punch through it. You know.
I don't know. Again, I don't know how the whole like friction between them started, but like my guess is because, as I mentioned earlier, I don't think they really talked politics. So I think it might have been like, if I had to guess, they were out somewhere, and my friend might have mentioned something like,
"Yeah, right,"
something like, "Oh, I'm voting for Trump," and then she was like, "Oh, wait, what now? You're voting for Trump? Oh, fuck you! I can't be engaged to someone who's, voting for."
I would say this though, like, don't be afraid to say that early on in a relationship if you actually feel strongly about it, because like who you're voting for, like if it comes up, I'm not saying first date, give them a MAGA speech, but you're out and it comes up and she just like, oh, who you're voting for. Don't lie. That's a really important thing. Either say, I don't really want to talk about it. That's a good out, or just say the truth. Those are your only two real outs, because if you lie, she's going to catch you on it later on. Let me tell you, that's how women are. And they'll care a lot more about the lie than actually who you voted for too, by the way. But two, if you say, I don't want to talk about it because I don't think it's polite conversation, or I think that's personal, or I don't want to, upset anybody. People can dig that a lot of times. But again, Apex pointed out, the toxicity of modern social media has made it so some people can't tolerate that.
But they'll hit you with that right off the fucking bat. Who are you voting for? Type of shit,
Yeah. So it's easy to filter for them for that reason.
And and to be honest, like that has been one of my problems, with like dating, is like because people like often think that because I'm so political, like I automatically default to just like talking politics IRL, when I really don't. I actually try and avoid politics IRL, but because I do the show and people know I do the show, it is kind of
natural
hard.
that people want to talk about it, right?
And that's
I thought it was sweet that you signed books for your family. I thought that was great. So yeah, of course they're interested in what you're doing. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, the book thing, as far as like, as far as like, ever since I've started more of my career as like an author, like that's been a big plus for me, like in the dating realm too, like that actually has helped. But
Certainly, it is an
you know,
occupation that will make women take interest.
Oh
Author.
yeah, yeah, but
yeah, certainly more so.
it will absolutely get the attention of the ones that will likely have the opinions that we were just discussing. The types of ones that are going to be like, oh wait, you're what? You're a what? You're a Trump. You know what I mean? The artsy fartsy types. Now, of course, the
Yeah,
the more conservative type of artists, female artists especially, at least on social media, has definitely been catching a wave.
the
But
thing
go ahead,
the thing of it is like, I'm not even like, the thing of it is this may actually surprise people. I'm not necessarily opposed to dating someone with like the opposite political ideology, as long as it's not like batshit extreme.
Can I give
Um,
you the answer to what the young guy should be looking for in a woman? Is that she's
yeah,
not political, like apolitical, right? And vaguely Christian. That's it. Everything else
yeah,
you can add standards on top of that, but I'm telling you, if you're a young conservative guy, you want her not to be political, even if she's a default liberal, like Mort points out. But a Christian, right? Even if she's not super strong Christian, she was raised in
yeah,
some level of Christianity. Those two, that combination will create a woman who's not going to be toxic about politics. Now, that's not a guarantee she won't be crazy in other ways.
Oh yeah, they're all fucking crazy. I mean, that's the thing. They're all out of their goddamn minds. You know, it's just a fact of nature.
Every last woman, yeah.
They literally are, in their own way. But quite,
Thanks.
we all are though. You know, men just like to, throw hands and shit, or cut trees down or something. You know. Anyway,
Well, it's funny because like, so I know this isn't exactly like relationship in strictly or like directly, but politics and stuff is important in relationships. Even if people aren't political, they don't realize it. And a perfect example of that, and I've had to hear this from quite a few of my friends that are still so fucking pissed off that Joseph Quinn is supposedly dating Doja Cat. And Penn and I actually got into an argument about this.
I had to be explained a lot of this, and I have the opinion of good for him.
Yeah. Go ahead, Maxine.
Yeah, that's kind of how I was, but me and Penn actually got into an argument about this, and we talked a little bit about this on our show. She was upset, and she was just going on like, oh well, she's like a neo-Nazi, which they never said that. She heard that from somebody else. But like, oh, and she like is racist and she did this and that. And I'm like, okay, hold on. Because I don't know much about Doja Cat, to be honest.
Hold up. She black though, right?
Yeah, she's mixed.
Okay, good enough. Yeah, just pointing that out. Like, it's hard to be a black Nazi. Not that they don't exist, actually. I've seen some of them. They're very funny.
Yeah, she fucking clapped back with that shit. And she was like, I'm black. How the fuck can I be racist? And that was all because...
Notice that was my defense too, right? Isn't she black?
Yeah, the whole reason they're saying she's racist is because you know that phrase, didn't do nothing, or didn't do
nothing.
Well, when she was like a teenager, she was in a lot of chats, and that was used a lot. And she realized, oh, they're using it negatively, so I'm going to use it in a positive way in my song. And she explained that, but people are still like, nope, she's racist. And she was in those chat rooms, and they were alt-right chat rooms, and she's this and she's that.
Meanwhile, she was just looking at like 4chan normie like tier memes.
Sure, they probably get reposted on Twitter type shit.
Yeah. She's second-handing 4chan memes, and so that was like the worst thing.
Yeah.
I had to look it up because when I first looked this up, I was like, Doja Cat controversies, and The only thing that came up is that she had made out with this dude that from that show, and that's it. And I'm like, okay, so what's the controversy? I had to look through till I got to like TikTok level news. That's when I started seeing all that shit. And I saw an interview, and she's just like, yeah, 1, I'm black. 2, they're talking about like basic pitch 4chan memes. And 3, I don't give a fuck. And I was like, oh, based. I like her.
Yeah, I realized that she's really
and
not that bad. And it was funny because the fight between me and Penn got ridiculous to the point where I just literally went, you do realize that everything that they say about her, they could say about me, right? Because a lot of the things that she believes and she talked about, I believe, and I've talked about, because they were accusing her of making fun of abuse victims. She was mocking Amber Heard. Bitch, I was mocking her too, because that was the worst acting job of her entire fucking career.
To be fair, everybody in America was mocking Amber Heard.
Yeah.
Although she might be an abuse victim, so I guess that might be technically true. That's one of those like, yeah, but not really.
But it was just funny that it took me saying, like, you do realize everything that you're saying about her, you could say about me. And now I worry and question, do you think that about me? Because it's not only in relationships, like romantic relationships, that politics are important. It's within friendships too. And Penn and I usually stay clear of most politics, but we do talk about it somewhat. And we just talk about it. When shit like that happens, you just talk about it, and it's fine. That's why it's important to talk.
Yeah, another counter to my counter argument that I was placing, going off early real quick, is that I was speaking in terms of like our parents and our grandparents and like the shit that we were taught as like 40, 35, 40-year-old people. Sammy, we count you in that. But the world is not the same.
I'm an old soul. It's fine.
You technically could, just be like, it's us against the world. What's going on in the political world, we'll figure it the fuck out because it's you and me, and we got this. That's how it should be. But I
keep saying, to kind of quote or paraphrase Kurt Doolittle, it's the millennials that need to put our work boots on and fix things for sure.
Yeah, sort of.
But we don't exactly agree on what needs to be fixed and how.
Well,
we never will. Go ahead, Sam.
Well, the other thing too is like my grandparents are greatest generation in World War II, era.
Yeah, mine too. Except he was a German.
Told my friend, and I told my friend this, that if this were my grandparents' day, there would be no arguing about politics, because the wife usually tended to vote whichever way the husband voted.
Once they were allowed to.
Default.
Boomers and greatest and even silent generation also had like a spoken rule. Like they would say this: no politics, no religion, no abortion. These topics were usually forbidden in polite company.
Literally. Yeah. Literally.
Yeah.
You didn't
now it's all everybody wants to talk about in polite company, which is where the toxicity's coming from.
I was gonna say that too. Like, and that's something I was alluding to earlier. Like, people, like, I actually, believe it or not, try and avoid politics, like IRL. If possible, other than this show. But like, I'm also, if it comes up, I say, like, I did vote for Trump, and if that's going to be a problem, then
I think you could shed some light on this, actually, Sam. So maybe even when you started, right? You've seen a change in how people discuss politics, even in that time, right? Because I'm talking to the boomers and the greatest generation. That's going back. The don't talk about politics in polite company goes back at least to the 40s and probably before that. So like, this is a newer thing. And it was still kind of true when you started podcasting. No, how have you seen the discourse around politics change? Because, and I just want to give you a hypothetical of what I mean, is 10, 15 years ago when you said you did a political show, most people, I would imagine, were more like bored by that. And now they probably want to give you their hot takes. Right? They all want to give you their opinion on the issues of the day. Whereas 10 years ago, they didn't want to hear anything about it because politics was more boring.
Yeah, well, 10 or 15 years ago when I started, everyone who liked Obama, they liked Obama because he was a cool guy, but they didn't know anything. But they didn't know anything about his policies, and honestly, couldn't care less.
No, because he was so fucking cool, man. He smoked cigarettes and shit. Don't you remember? Look how fucking cool he is. He drank beer with that one guy.
Yo, he listened to Jay-Z on an iPod in the White House.
And he also, this is a bit retrospective now, but even at the time, everybody was like, oh, shit. He was asked in an interview who would win, Drake or Kendrick. And Obama was like, I got to give it to Kendrick. You know, he's just much better at his job. You know, Drake makes good songs, you know, but Kendrick, he's much better at the game. Anyway, sorry, Sammy.
No, it was,
and that would be the level of discussion, right? Just jokes about superficial thing, because like that was it with Bush too. Like, although a lot of people had real serious political criticisms of him because of the war, a lot of the criticism of him would manifest as, bro, he can't spell nuclear, right? Or like he said, you know, once fooled, always fool a fooler, or whatever. Like, they make fun of superficial things, not policy. Now it's interesting because that's what I'm saying is, I feel like if you go to a gathering of people who know, like your family, I feel like now they would want to say, hey, what do you think about this? Have you heard what because they're trying to open up for a way to talk about what they think about it. Whereas 10 years ago, they wouldn't give a shit. Not all of them. I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of people would probably turn, you know, oh yeah, politics, whatever. I don't care about that.
And even like 10 or 15 years ago, like, and actually, I don't know if you saw the interview that I did with my friend Jason this past week, Max, but that's actually something that we were talking about.
Big shout out to Jason. That's a great interview. People should check it out and check out his show. Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, he does fantastic stuff. So big shout out to him. But no, that was actually one of the things that we covered, actually, because he and I were only a year apart, but we started podcasting in the same year, and he and I both observed that, like, even within our, you know, time of doing this, like, he and I were both always political nerds, so we cared about like the policy stuff, but like no one else did. But like also, like,
I would argue though that they don't still, like, it's still attention. Now it's just attention economy, and policy is a way to get attention. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Right.
But it's more about the attention now, and that's why people are like quick to argue about things, I think.
Yeah. Well, but like another thing, we didn't actually bring this up on the show, but like the other thing is, like, you could be friends with like an Obama supporter, and like it was still like an okay thing, or you could.
I still have friends, I guess people that I talk to every day anyway, that are liberal. But yeah, it's harder, right? Because politics is it's a specter in the room these days. If you know the other person is opposite to you, it's like a shadow of like, if this comes up, is this gonna ruin our relationship? And as we've been discussing, sometimes it can. It's a shame, but it's very much a modern thing.
Yeah, that's the big thing is I do know liberals who, like, they know my views and I know their views, and they just know that, like, we're never going to see eye to eye on politics, and that's fine. And I wish more people I wish more people were like that. I wish that was the default, but unfortunately it's not nowadays.
Been saying
it
since
used
I
to
came
be.
on that we want
used-
liberals to come talk to us, and they keep refusing. They don't
Well,
want
I mean,
to talk.
even when we go talk to them, of course, we're invading their safe space, in this day and age. But I mean, that's how it's been, and that's what's social media has fucked so
Your
many
bubble
up.
army over here, my bubble army over there, and both of them are dependent upon that attention economy. And I want to
It's
get into
literally
Tim Pool, Sam, because I think it's all relevant.
Yeah.
But the attention economy is what makes a guy like Tim Pool. Tim Pool's entire premise is built on attention economy. He would do headline of the day, read an article, and he passed himself off, I guess, to a lot of people as being centrist, which he's not. Interesting to me. He advocates political violence all the time. Sorry, I just wanted to get that in there. Tim Pool advocates political violence. And he's on YouTube and we're not. And Steven Crowder's not. And Don Bongino's not. And like I could name so many mainstream conservatives who get banned. But Tim Pool can sit on YouTube and he can be because he'll tell you things like I've pointed this out. I'll release these old videos on Rumble now that he can't copyright claim me. But I pointed out, like his opinion is that we should be over in Portland. If we care about America at all, he said, if you care about America at all, fuck getting fired, fuck feeding your family. You should be in Portland fist fighting Antifa. And I said right then and there, fuck Tim Pool. Somebody's paying him. And guess what we found out, Sam?
He's literally a Russian agent.
He's literally a Russian agent.
I was just digging up that tweet because that's what I was going to say. I was going to ask if you guys talked about that already, but yeah.
There's your Russian collusion.
Yeah,
at least Russian collusion.
I
Imagine that.
Mentioned it, but I wanted to bring it up like as its own subject because I hate Tim Pool. I want to point this out. I am very biased on this.
Me too.
And he's like a herpes infection on your YouTube feed that never goes away. And he sits there crying, oh, they banned it. Oh, I'm shut of him. No, they push him harder than fucking anybody. Meanwhile, Sam's literally giving a eulogy to his grandfather and gets cut midstream. But he can get on his show and advocate political violence. He should say we should have a civil war and all this fucking shit. That's what I call a controlled opposition. And I said that, and people are like, no, man, he's cool, man. He does music. And then I saw his music, and Sam, if Russia's going to pay somebody, couldn't they get some like better music out of it? Like, Jesus.
They don't give a fuck about that. All they care about is the influence. It's the attention. Attention.
I know.
I'm just, man, I get you. I'm with you. He's also
Mr. Pool. You're a hipster in a beanie, and you make folk music. Could you be any more of a fucking predictable fucking slur?
I will say he can do an all right heel flip. Or at least he used to be able to.
Yeah. Well, he heel turns all the time over on his fucking I love that he
on the skateboard, kick flips, heel flips.
Yeah, I know.
I think it's about 360 flip in there too. Which
he does them 360 flips on every fucking episode of his show.
Oh, that is a good analogy. I like that. Good call.
My personal beef, Sam. Go ahead.
No. Go, actually, you go ahead. You go ahead first. I have a follow-up question to your whole thing with Tim Pool.
Because you know what happened. So I made a series of videos on YouTube that caught a little bit of success, probably more than any YouTube channel videos I had, because I played the little attention economy game that he plays. And the series was called Tim Pool Doesn't Understand Things. And in each episode, I would take what he said in today's video and explain why he's retarded for about 20 minutes, like he would do. Just sitting there explaining. I'd have his video up, but I made sure never to play anything of it. But a screenshot of his video, when he caught wind of it, had his channel give me 3 strikes for copyright. And when I sent an email saying, bro, you're doing fair, like you're copyrighting me for fair use. I got back a response saying, you're damn right we are. And if you don't take down all these videos and stop doing this, we're going to ban your channel with another strike. And that's why I left YouTube, Sam. So fuck Tim Pool. I got by a Russian agent, Sam. What the fuck?
You know, like I know I have the whole Russia
A bald
plot,
Russian
like,
agent. And hey, look, there is nothing wrong with being fucking bald. Do you know what's wrong with being?
I was just about to say, hold on, watch your tone there, buddy.
No,
there's nothing wrong with being bald.
and in fact, ladies, in a lot of cases, like bald dudes. If you're going bald, you know, and you like, why are you wearing a beanie to hide it, bro? Your whole identity is about hiding your baldness. Of course, I'm gonna call it out because it's your weakness, right? Fucking.
I love that clip of from like 15 years ago of somebody yanking this beanie off.
That's
and they were
why
they were like, Tim Pool, you will never write a book nearly as good as The Dogs of War, a John Ryder thriller by Sam Whitfield.
True that.
Which you can get. Where can you get that?
Which you can find on Amazon, and it's also
And
along
Kindle?
with the Fourth Estate and
Audible?
and it's
And Audible.
Yep.
Sorry,
The reason
Sam.
I'm
We just
pulling
gotta
that
get
up-
all of them in there. We'll teach you one day.
The reason I'm pulling this up now, though, is because I do have a Russian subplot in the series. And so for book number 4, you know, I might have a certain... I already made fun of a certain cocaine lawyer. Now I might have to make fun of a certain, you know, beanie-wearing KGB, you know,
Let me be fair.
potential
Let me be fair
asset.
and give what Tim Pool's defense of himself is. Have you guys seen this, right?
I didn't know it.
No,
Okay.
I have not seen that. No.
His defense of himself is that it was a company that was owned by Russia Today that he worked for. This entire time he has worked for Russia RT.
RT, yeah. Well, to be fair, some of the most accurate actual news that I've gathered online from online sources has come from RT, especially in this country.
Sure. I'm not even going to question the credibility of it, but that does mean that you work directly for the Russian government.
Yeah, they are literally owned by the Russian government. Yeah, it's a state-owned media.
And so his defense is, I didn't know that we were owned by RT all this time.
That's not going to work, pal.
I mean, that's what he put up a tweet. It's longer. I just give you the boiled down version. I'm not saying exactly what he said, but that's basically what he said is I didn't know. I was unaware, and therefore trust me, bro.
Right.
So basically he's saying that he's retarded and he accidentally ended up colluding with Russia?
Yes.
It's the second best thing in the internet age, next to saying nothing.
That
Is
is
to
so
say,
fucking stupid.
I didn't know. I didn't.
Yeah,
know.
I had no idea.
No matter how big and influential you are, and how obvious the connection is, you know, and how clearly involved you are in your own business, you can just go. Well, I had no idea.
You know, they don't even have to say words. They just shrug their shoulders.
Oh, so it's just a symptom of retardation.
Yeah, his little beanie pops off his head and spins like a cartoon, and it lands back. He's like, boo, 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 boo. You know.
She just had a revelation because I've been doing that for years. She's like, oh, I see. He's doing the retarded thing.
Yep.
Well, you know, in regards to him, in regards to him, like
it's the same thing.
You know,
it's the same thing. Real quick, Sam. It's the same thing predators do when Chris Hansen tells them to have a seat. We have explicit chat logs for 93 pages right here, and you sent your ID.
Max,
Go
I need
ahead,
to.
Sam.
Yes, no, go ahead, Sam. Yeah, right. Go ahead.
Well, in regards to Tim Pool being a Russian asset, it would certainly explain like why he like came out of nowhere and like got super popular ever.
I thought you were going to say why
overnight.
he sucks dick, but I was wrong, Sam. Go ahead.
Those Russian bot farms, man.
Yeah, they'll do it.
So
It would explain why he was on the, front page of everybody's fucking YouTube feed. But I was just about to say, hold on, before you blow my eardrums out, Max. I was going to say, I want to figure out why you go from blowing my eardrums out to sounding like a normal, like everybody else in the chat. And you seem like you're the same distance from your microphone. I don't know if I don't think
I was actually going to ask that same thing because I noticed that too.
I don't see how it's humanly possible that you could raise your voice that much being that close. It just, something's going on there, and it legitimately fucking hurts my. So I mean, loud's loud.
Apologies.
No, you're fine.
I have it set to 17%.
But sometimes you literally blow it out, and you like I can't.
That's why it's set to 17%.
Yeah.
It almost sounds like when you start getting really like loud that someone's turning you down manually.
Yeah, I'm peeking out my mic. I should move a little further away, you see. Only when I yell, though.
Is it a condenser mic? You rocking a condenser mic?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's. Yeah. Okay. Well,
It's
anyway.
just sometimes the pop filter moves, and you're like yelling into the wrong part of it.
Right. It's like right up. You pushed it a little bit.
Especially today. I've been, here's like they always do the backstage shit. Well, I spent all day building the computer, setting it up, setting my wife's mic up so she could do this on her own little thing,
which is beautiful. By the way, the microphone.
Thank you. I love it.
Go ahead, Max. Sorry.
And we had some fun over the weekend, actually. Because we were looking at old scripts, like comedy scripts and shit. And because I was teaching her about that when we were doing Sam's thing, I was coaching her through like different techniques and stuff, and looking at old radio dramas, and I just started like sight reading them, and I thought maybe I might do that sometime, just stream old radio drama because I was reading them in different voices and stuff.
That's awesome. I love
them
that.
Shits are funny.
I would love to do that type of shit. But I was gonna say we're just over 2 hours, and we're gonna start getting bullied by chat because Sammy's gonna start fucking falling asleep. I did want to ask Maxine,
and then immediately perk up as soon as we go on live.
As soon as live is killed, he's a fucking spring chicken. I did want to ask Maxine. I don't know if you guys talked, but she is the guest, and this is the first time I've been on a call with her. I don't know if chat knows this already or if this is an opportunity, but I'm curious what you guys do over there. On the sandwich makers, and Maxine's. What is it? God damn it! I'm sorry, I forget what you got. You got some things going on, right?
Yeah.
The
Yeah, Tales from Maxine's Mortuary.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Chibi for coming up with the name. That's one of the things for like behind the scenes stuff for us is a lot of the times it's Chibi that comes up with the titles for the shows, or episodes, and then titles for like the show. I think almost all of them have been Chibi coming up with them. She's really good at it.
She's very creative. Yes, she is.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
We've been working on doing ads more. Penn is going to be taking over the Sammich Makers ad from now on, and Chibi's doing great with the bits and bones. She's super good at that one too, because she loves watching it, and Cora's freaking hilarious. So seriously, if you want to check out a podcast that talks about gaming and guys just like shooting the shit and having fun, you need to watch Bits and Bones. Cora is absolutely fucking hilarious. Of course, Morpheus is there, and we all love Morpheus. And then Tim's there too. And yeah, definitely need to go check out their show.
Yeah. What about the Maxine's mortuary?
I got something to say about this real quick.
All right, go
We've
ahead.
been working on something special. Speaking of the audio dramas, and I think y'all are gonna like it, but it might take a little bit longer.
Okay, well that's a cock tease if I've ever heard one.
It's
But,
basically we're writing and producing a little radio drama, and I'm gonna like edit it up
Ooh.
all nice and stuff.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, since
Cool.
I will be reading creepypastas on the podcast, sharing my own paranormal experiences. Whatever guest I have on can share their own. And so Max thought it would be a good idea to pre-record some of them to play them on the show. So it's basically
Not a
that's
bad idea.
what we're doing, but it's just a story that I wrote that Max did help me with. He kind of pulled out his DM techniques and basically helped me build the story as if we were building a dungeon. So it was actually a lot of fun.
Nice. No, you know what? I mean, just off the top of my head, it sounds like it could be fun to have. Never mind. That sounds awesome.
No,
It
no,
just sounds
what?
fun in general. No,
I
nothing. No, I was just gonna
Okay.
say like have a script read and then as though like in Dungeon Master style, read dramatically and reacted to, whether it's a creepypasta or one written by yourselves. I said never mind because it's basically a self promo. I just want to read some shit really dramatically and you guys.
Well, that's kind of
Yeah.
stick around for a few minutes when we're done because that's kind of what we're working with.
Okay.
And actually,
Well-
bringing this up is actually perfect because since we know Morpheus won't be able to be with us now because he's off doing whatever shenanigans he's up to. Apex, would you like to be the first guest on Tales from Maxine's Mortuary?
I would love to.
All right, cool. Then we'll definitely start talking about doing that. I'm excited.
I mean, hold on. There's technique. I don't know. I mean, obviously, yes, I'm 100% willing to do so, but depends on when that is.
Yeah,
but
don't worry.
yeah.
We
talk about
Max came up with a good plan of how we can work everything out. So we're gonna be good, and I'm excited, and I hope that you guys out there are excited for it too.
The magic of pre-recording and not making it live every time. Sam has already figured this out for the show, right? He does his interviews like this so that you can get people on the same schedule without actually being live. Wow, magic.
It literally is. It's when I first ran
Plus there's editing magic involved too, right?
Surely, yeah, obviously. There was a time many moons ago when I stumbled across Sammy when he was taking his shirt off for like 8 or 12 people in chat and showing his feet, and like he had topics.
By the way,
he'd do a show, but it was just all his friends. Like there was no. He's a good kid and he's a smart kid and he's got a good idea in his head, but he's easily distracted. So I'm like, this kid needs somebody needs to be his co-host. And then I watched him for weeks more, and I continued to, bully him to take his shirt off and show his feet, from chat. And then, 4 years of, doing the show, and I didn't help. I didn't do any of the things that I intended to. Although I suppose you could argue that I did, but like I wanted to give you some focus. That was the whole point.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I feel like the thing that's really kicked him into focus actually was the writing, to be honest.
Yeah, clearly. I love it. It makes me very happy. Anyway, we're still live, right? Yeah, we can't.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
So Sandwich Makers this week, do you have a thing?
I don't know what we're doing at all, but we're definitely gonna have something this Saturday.
I'll say, is Chibi still lost in the fucking Pacific Northwest?
No, she is home. Maybe that is something that we can talk about because she was sharing some pictures with us and stuff from there.
Yeah.
So
She seemed to be having a good time, right?
yeah, she did. She she showed us a little cute stuffed dragon friend that she got there.
Yeah, she can. I mean, surely she can fill, a few dozen minutes worth of interesting stories, right? That sounds fun.
It's funny because when they started, they didn't want to talk about stuff like that because it was scary. They didn't have confidence, and now, trying to get them to wrap it up is the hard part. You can see the growth through the episode. At least I do, because I'm sitting here listening and producing them all, right? And they started off all very nervous,
Yeah.
but I want to say, shout out to all the Sammich Makers fans who are more than ours now, who just stick with them and seem to really like the show. It's pretty cool. They got a custom name for the channel now, so it's like Rumble/C/Sammich Makers. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. And yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to actually have Maxine on here tonight for the advice thing, was because my friend who actually is having the relationship issues actually did tune into the Sandwich Makers, and he knows that the Sandwich Makers isn't a political show. It's not, but Maxine is associated with me.
Yeah.
with
Talk
the
about
Good
it
Report.
here. That way nobody's
Yeah.
like, at odds about politics. Because yeah, you're right. It's not a political show. They sometimes dabble in it, but rarely. And it's more about their interests and stuff. I gotta say, the creative energy that they've brought has blown me away, because they always have something cooking up, to the point that I just don't even know what to expect anymore. So it's fun.
Yeah, no.
Last week, cooking with Denny was fun because she didn't
That's
know.
awesome. No, that's awesome. That's great.
She had
That's how the best shit's born.
No
Right.
idea that Denny is like one of the best cooks I know, like objectively, and was so passionate about food. She just thought it would be funny to have the girls aren't there, so a guy would talk about cooking, and I had mentioned it because I knew he was like that, right? And suddenly I walked out of the room to put my kid to sleep, and I came back, and it was like, oh, she suddenly realized. Yeah, he takes it pretty seriously. It's like one of the few things he did. Of course, I mostly know him from fucking around on Twitter.
He's yeah, me too. Yeah. Truth be told, actually, never mind. I'm not going to share that. I'm not going to share that on the show because it's not provable. But
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool, dude. Check that show out, Sandwich Makers. On Rumble, here on Rumble, where you can find all of us.
They're all numbered, except the last two are wrong, and I got to change them, but that's because I'm retarded.
And we also have a TikTok, an Instagram, and an X. And in all the bios of all of our socials is the link to our link tree, so that you can get to everything and not have to try and search for us.
Damn, look at that.
I believe
this is why they're whipping our ass, Sam.
Go ahead, Sammy. Go ahead.
I believe my friend Jason also has a TikTok, and I think he actually followed the Sandwich Makers on there, and he's trying to convince me to get a TikTok. But here's the thing. What are you guys gonna do, Maxine, when this is actually a topic I guess we could cover real quick. TikTok is going to get banned here in the U.S. Well, maybe by the end of this year.
I think the short answer to that is it's just silly to not utilize every possible platform. That's
exactly.
All whether it's TikTok or Instagram or fucking Twitter or X or fucking OnlyFans or Pornhub, or
wherever they let you shit the place up.
Hold on, let me real quick Apex rant, because I, for the first time in a long time, was like, I'm gonna watch some porn real quick. I was bored, for the fuck of it, and I was greeted with this video of some woman wearing a dress and a long text thread that said, "Porn is now illegal unless you put you give us your ID in the state that you live in."
Are you in one of those states?
It just happened, apparently.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
that's
I was like,
insane.
oh, fuck. Okay, let me do some searching. It took me like 5 minutes and I found another one. It still works.
Yeah, of course.
So it's whatever. So that's fine, but it's still like, I guess that's okay in the, in principle, I don't really have an issue with it.
Well, they promised that this shit was to protect the minors who were making or putting stuff on the platform, but like on the viewing end.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. All it is. Yeah. Exactly. All it is just more ways to fucking track the shit that you do. They already, they already know what you're jacking off to if you're using a phone or a computer. So,
as Francis E. Deck would say, the Frankenstein eyesight television monster, and the Frankenstein headphone, earphone, radio phones.
Yeah.
Because in his schizo world, it's actually a consistent worldview, and it's very similar to ours, only a little weird. Like, there's a computer god that gets all this information from your eyesight phone, which he even envisioned as them seeing out your eyes, but you could easily say is your little phone, and it's also your earphone radio that you hear all the messages from the computer gangster god on the moon.
Yeah, we're already cyborgs, man. Like, I think Elon Musk said that at some point. But yeah,
of all the dystopias to live in, we live in Francis E. Deck's dystopia. He wasn't a sci-fi author, ladies and gentlemen. He was a schizophrenic man.
Yeah. A lot of supposed, quote unquote, good authors or influential authors were basically insane people. Which is fine.
It just sucks when he writes our modern world into existence that way now.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think, Sammy? You want to keep this train running off the rails?
Well, I guess I'm a schizo then, because if all the good authors are schizo, then
I didn't say that, sir.
Yeah, I must be.
I said a lot of them happen to be, off their fucking rails a little bit, and you are on wheels, sir.
I mean, you did find him shirtless, showing his feet to the camera. To be fair,
exactly. Yeah. I mean, 10 years into his streaming career,
10 years deep, man. That's dope.
Yeah.
Hey, you know how many women show feet way before 10 years?
Yeah, what's fucked up is if Sammy had like just slightly softer principles, he could have been selling feet and shirtless pics to degenerate homosexuals a long time ago, and he'd be rich. He could have been. He would be Tim Pool right now.
Well, hey, if any degenerate homosexuals out there want to talk about pricing, we could discuss that privately.
Max.
Yeah, hit us up on the DMs. My DMs are open. I got a direct line to Sammy. So does Max.
Shmuley told me don't leave money on the table.
That's right. That's exactly right. There is a ton of money on the fucking internet, and you're stupid. Your principles are fucking stupid. The internet's not real. Just fucking say and do whatever. Who cares?
Sam, what did you bring me into?
Welcome.
A respectable conservative radio broadcast, ma'am.
This is one beer and some Michigan dispensary weed. Do you guys have any idea how cheap Michigan dispensary weed is? I had no idea. You guys are far away, of course. I don't even know if it's legal.
How much? Because I'll tell you, I get an ounce here at 50 plus tax, comes out to 62.
That's about right. Yeah, that's close. I think it's maybe
Dope.
65. Yeah.
Yeah.
And depending on the strain, but it's a fucking candy store. I've been buying for my dude, and it's like,
I'll tell you, I stopped buying weed and stopped smoking it entirely because I was like, I don't like dealing with dudes like criminals half the time, especially when all the dudes I got it from back in the day had like retired, And now I'm having to deal with dudes that I don't really know. And one of them fucking jacked my cousin for $20. And I'm just like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm not going to ever buy it again. And through that, I wasn't supposed. Then they legalized it. And on my birthday, I decided I was going to go down there. And I was like, oh my God, I just get to pick it. And they have all the cool names and you can look at them. And they have these fucking candies and
literally
they
everything.
give out. Here's a cool thing they do. They take canned goods, or now it's going to be like winter coats. But whatever, every season they have a charity, and if you bring one thing in, they give you a joint for a penny. That's dope. Yeah, sure. I'll find a fucking canned good for a fucking joint.
The candies that they had, they're literally like, oh my God, like Skittles. And they're so good. I took 2 of them and I was like, I'm going to go lay down. And then Max comes, he's like, dude, you've been gone for 4 hours. I just passed the fuck out. And I was like, I like those. I like those a lot.
Yeah. My roommate was just telling me she got some gummies from somewhere, from Michigan. Well, I'm pretty close to the Michigan border. And Illinois border as well. The only dispensary I've ever been to in my life was in Illinois. And if you have a medical card, it's cheaper. So I went through a family member that had one at the time. It was like it was basically the same price I paid for my dude. And like you were talking about, your dudes in the past, and mine as well, were fucking criminals, effectively. And mine is as well.
Well, hey, we were criminals as well because it was illegal.
Sure. But he's like he runs a business, and it's, he's got his own. It's just like he's like my boy. But he also he has his. I've known for years that he's got his operation in Michigan, and now I'm pretty sure that he's just going to Michigan and buying the shit from the dispensaries there, and coming back and being like, yeah, no, we got a fucking warehouse, man. We grow this shit in, because like the little cartridges, that. They're like 15. People charge $15 a pop for them. They're like $5, for a 1 gram fucking cartridge. An eighth is like $8 for some Jack Harrer or some shit that you only read about.
They have,
in a High Times
they have
magazine.
a VIP menu at the store I go to every day, and there's always like a $10 eighth or and it's a premium shit. They just knock it down for this is today's sale. And they'll have one, like one of each category. So 1 vape, 1 edible, 1 flower, all on some 1 pre-roll. And people, I've never seen the place not fucking packed to the gills. And the other interesting thing is most of the people I see going there have Rhode Island license plates, not Massachusetts, which is interesting because the weed's legal there. And my theory is it's way more expensive there. Well, I know that to be true, but that's why they're coming here.
Yeah, 100% for sure. And like these dudes are so big, they're right over the border. I mean, it's like fucking 8 miles over the border or something. Excuse me, sorry. There's a limit. There's a customer limit, but they don't give a fuck about that. They're like, go ahead. What do you want? We'll just do it in, separate transactions. It's like
there's a limit. There's a limit here too, but it's like 1 ounce per day, and I'm pretty good with that limit, for personal use. I'm not like you're saying. I bet you people come here, get a deal like that, and go down to like New York and other states and sell it for sure.
Yes, sir. That's exactly what they do.
Because the weed in New York is, even though it's legal, it's way more expensive than here. So you just sell it on the gray market.
Dude,
you're not even in trouble for transporting it across state lines because it's legal in both.
Well, that's part of the issue here. Is it is illegal here? I'm in between 2 legal states, and Indiana is not a cool place. It's getting there, I think, maybe, but lawyers are making a fuck ton of money off
Trump.
of
Trump said he would unschedule it entirely, which would
that
be the best outcome. And by the way, just in case anybody in chat isn't aware, Joe Biden could do that right now.
I mean, any of them could have over the last
Yeah.
all of our lifetimes. You know,
Stroke
Didn't-
of a pen could legalize weed.
Didn't
pretty
he
sure-
say that he was changing the level? Like it, I don't remember. I don't know what the numbers are, but I know that he was lowering it on whatever list it's
It
on.
went from level A, which is the highest classification, and actually is higher than crack cocaine. It's the same as LSD and fentanyl and heroin. And weed is actually considered more dangerous by the government than cocaine for whatever reason. And he lowered it to C tier, which would be like your over the counter opiates and things like that. So it's like they consider it, the government now considers it a legal narcotic essential or a controlled substance, but not a criminal one. But he could have just taken it off the schedule entirely, and he didn't.
Yeah, any of them could. It's it's probably a lobbying from the pharmaceutical companies.
Well, the
or
states that
something.
it is illegal in, lobby as well. Not the people of the state necessarily, but the state government. A lot of them are still pro keeping it illegal, and so they go to Washington and lobby to
Right.
not change that. Also, it gives up a lot of DEA powers as well by doing that, and they don't want to give that up, so they kind of lobby. Government agencies want it to
Sure.
stay semi-illegal no matter what, but a president could take it off of that and have each state to decide it individually with the stroke of a pen.
That is one thing I'd love to have Steve Stratton back on to talk out is because when I talked to him back in February of this year, which is hard to believe that was just this year because that seems like a while ago, but he was actually in favor of taking off the schedule, if for no other reason than like the DEA could actually focus on the actual
And it cuts
Mexican
the balls off the
drug
cartels. As the states legalize one by
Yeah.
one, the cartels have to. That's why fentanyl has become a hot button issue, though, is that's where the money's at now.
Yeah,
Weed was
Yeah,
their
yeah,
cash like people don't understand because it's a low value drug essentially. Like it's a low cost drug relative to others. So they don't realize that it's a cash crop because it's so fucking easy to grow down there. And they're transporting fucking tons, not pounds or ounces. And it makes them a lot of money, but because states are legalizing it, every state that's legalized it so far, you have to grow it in that state.
Right.
To sell it legally. So it's not legalized. Well, yeah, it's legalized, not completely like decriminalized. But yeah. Either way, that means that they're growing it within the state to sell it within the state. That cuts the cartels. They still have a grasp on the gray market if they can sell it cheaper, but that cuts into their profits, making it less desirable, which is why they're switching to fentanyl, because you can sell much less of it for a much higher profit margin. And it's easier to smuggle for that reason.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean,
and so it's all like
decriminal-
the drug market's all one big flowing thing, and taking this off the table, it has hurt the cartels, but it's also switched their focus, and it's rewarded gangs who are willing to be more violent because the high value of fentanyl and the high stakes of it all makes it maybe even if you're gonna get life in prison anyway, why not kill a motherfucker? That kind of thing.
I mean, most of the fentanyl shit's China, to be honest with you. So
yeah, but it comes in through South America. That's where they bring it in from, and that's where the money's at for the cartels now because we've legalized so much pot here, and it's being grown here. But like I say, they can sell bunk Mexico weed on the street for a little less than the shops are charging, but that's not going to yield them as much profit as smuggling a little tiny bit of fentanyl.
Yeah, and I mean, I think weed has not been a cash crop for them, like the major crash. It's been like it's out of the top 5 probably for them for the last 30, 40 years. You know what I mean?
But this hurt them significantly.
Yeah.
Either way, it really was Like,
Yeah.
it's not that they made their profit
The-
like per capita, like per, gram or whatever. They made their profit on selling so much bunk weed that was like most of it coming out of Mexico, especially, was trash. Like they'd like douse fucking diesel fuel on it and shit.
I mean, fucking
Yeah.
Pablo Escobar. Sorry, Sammy, real quick. Pablo Escobar was like the first, his name is, we all remember his name because of cocaine smuggling. He did smuggle weed too, of course.
It's
But
the same thing, same principle at the time. It's smaller, right? And you literally carry less of it to make more money. But
yeah, which
but that's
makes
like
a difference.
it's like 60% of the profits, yes, but then weed's like 20%, you know what I mean? And cutting that 20% off has hurt the cartels. That's all. Is it hurt are they done? No, obviously. They run everything down there.
Yeah, no, I think they run like a business, to be honest with you. They've just shifted. They shift with the markets, like
Yeah.
fucking like Boeing.
Heroin
or
and fentanyl are the
Walmart.
big ones right now. Heroin, fentanyl, and a little bit of coke.
Bro, all you need is a tiny little sprinkle of it's kind of crazy because fentanyl just kills your customers. But the regular customers, if you just sprinkle a little bit of fentanyl in with that fucking smashed up dope that's basically like 12% actual heroin and a bunch of other shit already, even if it's pure, you smash it up with a teensy bit of fentanyl, and them junkies get fucked up. The problem is when those junkies stop doing the heroin for a couple of weeks or a month or two, and then they're like, well, I can do the same kind of bump, as I used to do. A little
Or
bump.
they did it for a long time before fentanyl was like a common thing to get put in your shit, right? And that first one, junkies, puts a bit much in, and they're just fucking done for. That happens a lot, actually.
Well, what killed my brother? Just go ahead, Maxine.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say that something kind of similar to that happened to my cousin. She, for whatever reason, bought pot off of some guy she knew, and there ended up being something in it. We think it was fentanyl, but we're not 100% positive. But like, she got fucked up and was in the hospital. And my first thing was, why the fuck didn't you just go to a dispensary? Why are you buying weed off of, like, even if you think you know him, some random dude off the street? Like, you're so fucking dumb for that.
Because she's been doing it for 20 years that way. That's why.
Sure, yeah. I'm not sure you can smoke fentanyl. As someone, I did fentanyl way before it was cool. I did it through the medically.
That is
prescribed
the most
patches.
based hipster thing anyone has ever said.
Well, I used to take these gel patches that like fucking terminal patients would get, and I would cut them into little pieces, into like 12ths or something, and then I would brew a cup of tea and would throw a little piece in, and I'd steep that cup of tea, and then I'd drink it. Most of the time, I would wake up X amount of time later, most of the time hours, with half or more cup of tea still in my hand, sitting, like exactly like a heroin, like the stereotypical heroin fucking dude on the street or whatever, just fucking dead in place.
That's
It was
wild.
awesome.
Actually.
It was awesome at the time, and to be honest with you, I'm very surprised.
Not that we endorse that kind of thing, of course.
No, it was awesome in the sense that that's what I was actually just kind of trying to elaborate. Was there was so many times that I can't even tell you how much time had passed, and with my head in a weird, like your neck all bent in a weird place, the worst thing gone the wrong way. You know what I mean? If you throw up a little bit, like, as tends to happen with the heroin dudes. But I wasn't doing heroin. I was drinking a cup of tea, man. But no, yeah. I'm fentanyl is bad. The whole
Drugs
the
are
whole point-
bad. Okay.
The whole drugs are bad. Okay. What I was gonna say is what happens a lot with heroin people these days is they go to jail or they go to rehab. Family interjects and they have to stop
Yeah,
for some reason.
methadone for a little bit, and
Yeah, even if it's, especially if it's not voluntary, if they go to jail or if they're family forces them to rehab or something, they take weeks off, even if it's just a handful of weeks or more than likely months, and then they get back out there and like, yeah, I'll hit a bump, and it's mostly 30% fentanyl. And you guys have seen the memes. It's pretty true.
Yeah,
You don't need a whole lot of the actual concentrated powder form to literally, it'll fucking kill you. And it kills a bunch of people. And it's killed a bunch of people.
and
And
it's sadly gonna kill a lot more. And yeah, that's what Steve Stratton was talking about with like, fuck going after weed. This is the drug war. And then some of the listeners who don't actually fucking listen kind of got that wrong and got offended by that because they're like, oh, but Max said legalize weed. And I'm like, yeah, so did Steve. He said the war right now is on heroin a little bit and fentanyl mostly. If you're talking about war on drugs, because that's what's killing people.
You know what? The truth is, the real war, in my opinion, is any of it coming from anywhere but this country. Because you could make 100% natural heroin. There's the South Park already did it. You could grow fucking pure coca leaf on this continent and purify it with no bullshit, not stomped on by any fucking nefarious parties, and sell it and tax it.
I am in favor of that, but it's a hard sell to most people because they see this devastation and they can't see how your vision of it comes from that, because obviously they're seeing more deaths. But I'm with you 100%. It's just, this has been my problem with libertarians is when you get past weed, most people agree with weed because they think it's low level. But when you start saying legalize everything, they just can't envision that transition that I think you're talking about.
Well, you have to break it down much like Randy did to Santa in South Park. Look, it's grown in America. It's not stomped, no nefarious parties. There's nothing, no illicit substances in there. It's creating jobs. You know what I mean? Look, and he fucking gives Santa a bump. God, I can still visualize the episode. I think it's a later episode too, actually, or a more recent episode. Santa does a bump. He's like, yeah, but this is fucking bull. You can't fucking sell coke. This is bullshit. Because it was, is when Randy started his weed farm. You guys remember this, right? Come on.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he starts coating his fucking, weed. Yeah, Integrity Farms starts coating his weed in the cocaine, and he's like, gives Santa the bump, and he's like, oh fuck, that is. What does he say? He's I can't remember the word he used, but he's like, that is some good shit. Yeah, I see what you're saying. All it took was a bump, and even Santa was on board. Jesus wasn't involved this time, unfortunately, but I bet you he would agree as well.
I think if you get Jesus some like really pure American-made meth, he'd get on board.
Oh, no doubt.
I love how now we're talking about corrupting Santa Claus with drugs.
No. I'm just using South Park as like an analogy for real life because they've.
I am talking about making Jesus do meth.
Yeah, just because they've done such a good job of doing so for like most of my life at this point.
Well, so many meth heads say they see Jesus on meth, so I would be interested to see his reaction.
Well, look,
would he see himself?
To be fair, maybe we could dedicate an episode to that because I'm
gonna have to. Well,
Craig is the chemical engineer. I'm gonna have to ask him about this.
That would be the Whitfield report breaks bad. So that would be.
And Sam's been waiting to use that line his whole life.
Yeah.
Did you seriously ask if Jesus could see himself if he was high on meth?
Maybe that's what happened.
Yeah.
You know what? Maybe that's what happened 2,000 plus years ago.
Maybe that's the big bang, is that he got really fucked up on meth and saw himself, and the universe extended through that.
Yeah, maybe he ate some mushrooms and then as he was stumbling around, ate whatever root and leaf for ayahuasca, and then continued to crawl, and a bush lit on fire, and he crawled into it and started saying things, and who knows?
Yeah, that
No idea where I was going with that. I'm sorry.
So we only exist because Jesus decided to get high?
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Oh,
I
okay.
think I actually agree with the stoned ape theory, to be honest with
Well,
you.
this is the stoned Jesus theory.
Yeah.
It's like fuck all that evolution shit. Jesus showed up stoned as fuck one day.
Yeah.
And
No,
then
Jesus
boom.
showed up. No, Jesus showed up as the Son of God, and he smoked some weed real quick, and he was like, "Holy fuck!" And then he just stumbled around getting fucked up for.
I mean, and then he turned water into wine. He's like, I need more of this.
Oh fuck yeah! And then he got buried. They stuck him up on that cross, and then he took however many years. Wait, no, that was earlier. Shit. No, those years that we don't hear about, he was partying. That's what was going on. He was at raves and shit, in the fucking desert.
Well, come on. The
fucking
first
DJ.
thing he did was go to hell for 3 days. You don't think he was at the Rager?
Yeah, fuck yeah. That's what he was doing. That's why he was not there, He wasn't dead.
Now all I can do is picture that the burning bush was just because he dropped his joint and the bush caught fire.
He was in there trying to get it out. And he's
We've all
talking to
been there.
Whoever comes out. Yeah, whenever he's talking to whoever was.
That's why
St.
Moses
John the
couldn't
Baptist.
see
Yeah,
him. He
and-
was searching for his joint.
Yeah. Oh, hey, bro. Look, man,
Yeah,
I'm the Son of God. I need your help. Please. I need you to spread my message. I don't know. I can't articulate what that is right now, but because I'm on fire. But
Welcome to the third hour of the Whitfield Report, ladies and gentlemen.
not
well,
quite.
is it?
Well, I mean, we did hour
No.
1, right? And then there's hour 2, and this is the third hour.
Oh yeah, okay. I was right on.
Well, and I actually think that that this is a good place to maybe
Yeah, let's
wrap up.
kill it,
It's around
Sammy.
like
You should have
2:40.
killed it a long fuck
So-
time ago, buddy. I love you guys so much. Maxine, you better hit me up. I'm looking forward to being on the show.
Absolutely.
Whatever you need me for.
All right,
here for it.
cool.
All right.
Hold on. Buy Sam's books on
Please buy
Audible
Sam.
and Amazon and Kindle.
Ladies and gentlemen, please buy Sam Whitfield's books on Amazon and Kindle and all the other places you can buy them. The Shadow of a Gay Man, or whatever it's called.
That's
Or
right. Like,
something like that.
comment, subscribe, and go to his OnlyFans.
Listen. Every time I come on this show, this fucking chat, I came here, not a single person liked this stream, and still I am the only person that has liked this stream. At least that I can see. Hold on, let me
Real
refresh.
qu-
Yeah, refresh, because there's a couple.
real
The thing
Chip
is,
said he liked it.
There's 4.
we've been pointing
Real-
this out. Is that's the tough part? Is we have to ask a special thing with Rumble. Please make an account, like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah, right. Go ahead, Sammy.
Real quick before we sign off, we have Sandwich Makers on Saturday night, and then on Monday I've got an interview with Zach James, who is a private military contractor turned political threat author. So that episode will drop Monday.
Oh shit, we're being infiltrated.
And then well, he's in my writing group.
No, Sam is infiltrated.
So
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
yeah, I'm infiltrating all the author circles.
Hell yeah, I
So,
love it. bud.
And
Particularly military-oriented ones, which I find
Yeah,
interesting.
You're so non-suspect. It's perfect. Except for all of the
So-
episodes that you have with me over the last like 5 years, and then the ones with Max too.
Probably the ones with Jason.
Well, all all of the military guys actually love this show, believe it or not. So
Fuck yeah, buddy.
maybe
Me too.
maybe that ought to say something about our fan base and the troops. So
Fuck yeah.
God bless them. But anyway, thanks to everyone for tuning in. Thanks for supporting Right to Fund Media. We love you all, and we'll see you on the next episode. And take us out.
The right to offend is not some pesky little part of freedom of speech that we have to put up with. It is the heart and soul and lungs of freedom of speech. It is the coursing lifeblood of human progress. It is the instigator of liberty and modernity and science and understanding. What a laughing stock today's student leaders are, that they can so casually dismiss the right to be offensive without realizing that their lovely, enlightened lives are the gift of individuals who gave offense. Offensiveness is not just something we have to begrudgingly accept. Offensiveness is the motor of human progress.
Thank you for watching the Whitfield Report live on the Right to Offend Media Network. Make sure to check out Sam's books on Amazon, Audible, and Kindle. You can follow Sam on X at SamW_NGC and the Right to Offend Media Network at RTO Media. Like, comment, subscribe, and share with your friends. And until next time, God bless, God save this great nation. God, freedom, legacy, in that order.